The Force had touched trillions of lives across countless millennia, binding the galaxy together in an endless dance of light and shadow. But on this day, something else arrived, something that had never bowed to destiny, never bent to cosmic inevitability, and carried with it the power to rewrite existence itself. The dimensional tear manifested without warning 300 kilometers above Coruscant's glittering surface. It wasn't a hyperspace emergence. No ship could produce that kind of chromatic distortion, that rainbow fracture in reality where 6 distinct colors bled through the fabric of space itself. Every color represented a fundamental force. Red for power, orange for soul, yellow for mind, green for time, blue for space, purple for reality. Together, they formed a constellation of impossible energy that made the planet's orbital sensors scream warnings no technician could interpret. Then he stepped through. Thanos emerged into the Clone Wars era like a titan crossing into a realm of children. His massive form, over 8 feet of purple-skinned armored muscle, hung suspended in the void for a moment, unaffected by vacuum or radiation. The golden Infinity Gauntlet on his left hand blazed with the light of 6 stones, each one pulsing with power that operated on principles the Force had never encountered. He surveyed the planet below with calculating yellow eyes that had watched his own universe burn and been reborn according to his will. Behind him, the dimensional rift collapsed, sealing shut with a thunderclap of displaced energy that shook Coruscant's upper atmosphere. The Mad Titan's first breath in this new galaxy was measured, contemplative. His enhanced senses immediately cataloged differences. The stellar radiation patterns, the gravitational constants, the quantum foam underlying reality. But most intriguing was the energy he felt permeating everything. This force his transit had warned him about. It flowed through the planet below, through the beings inhabiting it, through the very stars themselves. It was not an infinity stone. It was something else entirely. Thanos allowed himself to fall toward Coruscant, the space stone cushioning his descent as he phased through the planet's defense grid like a ghost. As he dropped through cloud layers, his tactical mind absorbed the urban sprawl beneath him, a city planet, trillions of lives stacked vertically in towers that pierced the stratosphere. Excessive, unsustainable, and at war. Even from orbit, he had detected the military vessels, the troop movements, the industrial production geared entirely toward conflict. His journey through the dimensional barrier had granted him fragmentary visions of this galaxy's current crisis. A republic of star systems tearing itself apart in civil war. Clone soldiers bred for combat facing endless droid armies. Jedi peacekeepers forced to become generals in a meat grinder that consumed worlds. The Soul Stone pulsed against his knuckle, and Thanos understood the deeper truth instantly. This war was manufactured. Someone was pulling strings on both sides, feeding the conflict, ensuring maximum devastation. The why didn't matter. The result was a galaxy burning through resources and lives at an unsustainable rate. Exactly the kind of chaos that required his solution. Thanos landed in Coruscant's industrial district with enough force to crack permacrete, the Power Stone absorbing and redirecting the kinetic energy into the ground. Factories stretched in every direction, churning out weapons, armor, and vehicles for the clone army. Worker droids scurried about their tasks, while exhausted organic supervisors monitored production quotas that never seemed high enough. A protocol droid approached him, its photoreceptors struggling to process what they were seeing. "Excuse me, sir, but this is a restricted military production facility. I must ask you to... Thanos closed his fist. The reality stone flared red, and the droid simply ceased to exist, its atoms scattered across dimensions where they had never been assembled into machinery. Alarms began shrieking across the district. The Titan strode forward, ignoring the factory workers fleeing in terror, ignoring the security droids that clattered toward him with raised blasters. His attention was fixed on the Jedi Temple he could see, rising in the distance, a massive ziggurat that radiated with concentrated force energy. If he wanted to understand this galaxy's power structure, that temple was where he would find answers. And if this galaxy proved as broken as he suspected, it was where he would deliver judgment. The blaster fire began 30 seconds later, red bolts that would have vaporized any organic being. Thanos didn't break stride. The energy splashed harmlessly against an invisible barrier generated by the Power Stone, each impact absorbed and stored for potential redirection. More security forces poured from the factories, battle droids with stereotypical vocabulators, clone troopers in white armor, even a few Coruscant security personnel in blue uniforms. They were trying to protect a system already dying. Thanos raised the gauntlet, the space stone flared blue, and he simply vanished, teleporting 3 kilometers closer to the Jedi Temple. He reappeared on a pedestrian skyway crowded with civilians, humans, Twi'leks, Rhodians, dozens of species, all frozen in shock at the massive armored figure that had materialized before them. "This galaxy is finite," Thanos said, his deep voice carrying across the platform. "Its resources finite. If life is left unchecked, it will cease to exist. You are living in the consequences of that truth." In the Jedi Temple, Master Yoda's eyes snapped open from meditation. Beside him, Mace Windu felt the disturbance ripple through the Force like a stone dropped in still water. Except this stone was a meteor and the water was reality itself. "Something has arrived," Yoda whispered, his ancient voice tight with concern. "Wrong, it feels. Not of the Force, not of the dark side. Something other." Across the galaxy on the Separatist command ship, Invisible Hand, Count Dooku paused in his discussion with General Grievous as he too sensed the disturbance. Whatever had just entered the galaxy carried power that made even Sith Lords pay attention. And in the Chancellor's office, Darth Sidious smiled. Thanos stood on the skyway, 6 Infinity Stones glowing on his gauntlet, and began walking toward the temple. The Clone Wars had been waging for 2 years. He would give them one chance to accept his solution peacefully. Then he would impose balance by force. If you want to see more characters enter the Star Wars galaxy, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character you'd want to see in the comments below. May the Force be with you. Thanos moved through Coruscant's mid-levels with deliberate purpose, his route to the Jedi Temple carving a path of disruption through the city planet's carefully ordered chaos. Speeders diverted around him, civilians scattered, clone trooper patrols attempted to establish perimeters, but the Mad Titan simply teleported past their barricades, leaving frustrated soldiers shouting into comlinks about a hostile that operated beyond their tactical doctrine. He took his time, allowing the galaxy's defenders to observe what had arrived in their midst. The Infinity Gauntlet gleamed in Coruscant's artificial lighting, each stone pulsing with its own distinct rhythm. Thanos had learned long ago that overwhelming force applied gradually often achieved better results than sudden devastation. It gave populations time to understand the futility of resistance, to accept the inevitable. The first Jedi arrived within minutes. She dropped from a LL-2 gunship, hovering 3 stories above, her brown robes whipping in the downdraft as she landed in a crouch before him. Young, perhaps mid-20s, with a green lightsaber already ignited in her hand. The weapon hummed with barely contained plasma, and Thanos could feel the energy field she called the Force swirling around her. Excitement, fear, determination, all mixed together in the emotional maelstrom of youth. By authority of the Galactic Republic and the Jedi Order, you are ordered to surrender, she announced, her voice steady despite the tremor he detected in her aura. Identify yourself and state your purpose on Coruscant. Thanos stopped, studying her with the kind of measured assessment he'd once given to warriors across 1,000 worlds. I am Thanos of Titan. I have come to observe the conflict consuming this galaxy and offer a solution to the chaos I see before me. Solution? The Jedi's grip on her lightsaber tightened. You've destroyed property, terrorized civilians, and ignored lawful commands. That doesn't sound like someone offering solutions. A droid ceased to function, permacrete cracked. These are inconsequential matters. Thanos gestured toward the industrial district behind him, where smoke still rose from factories working triple shifts to feed the war machine. Your republic builds weapons while its people starve. Your Senate debates while worlds burn. You wage war against yourselves while calling it civil conflict. Tell me, Jedi, is this the order you protect? The question landed like a physical blow. Thanos watched her struggle with it, saw the doubt flicker across features trained to project confidence. She was a warrior monk, a peacekeeper forced into generalship by circumstances beyond her control. The Soul Stone revealed her inner turmoil like an open book. The Jedi serve the Republic, she said finally. We protect life and uphold peace. The Separatists chose war. We respond to defend the innocent. You serve a failing system. Thanos took a step forward, and despite her training, the Jedi retreated one step back. I have watched galaxies tear themselves apart through unchecked expansion and resource depletion. This Clone Wars is merely a symptom. Your true enemy is sustainability, and that enemy cannot be defeated by lightsabers or clone armies. More Jedi were arriving now. Thanos sensed them converging from multiple directions, closing a net they believed would contain him. Above, Republic gunships circled like carrion birds. He could hear the whine of their weapon systems charging, see the red targeting lasers painting his armor from a dozen angles. Come with me to the temple, the young Jedi offered, her tone shifting toward negotiation. The Council will hear your concerns. If you truly want to help, there are proper channels. Proper channels? Thanos' voice hardened. How many died today while your proper channels deliberated? How many worlds fell while your Senate voted on supply appropriations? I did not cross dimensional barriers to waste time with bureaucracy. He raised the gauntlet, and the Mind Stone pulsed yellow. The Jedi's eyes widened as she felt her consciousness pressed upon, not controlled, but examined. Thanos sifted through her surface thoughts with the casual efficiency of someone reading a datapad. Her name was Ayla Secura. She commanded clone battalions on the Outer Rim. She'd seen hundreds die under her command while following orders she increasingly doubted. You know the system is broken, Thanos said softly, releasing her mind. I can see it in your thoughts. You fight and bleed and sacrifice, yet the war only grows. How many more must die before you question the orders you follow? Ayla deactivated her lightsaber, her expression troubled. Even if you're right about the Republic's flaws, breaking our laws and threatening citizens isn't the answer. There are better ways to create change. Are there? Thanos gestured toward the skyline, where another military convoy rumbled past. This war has consumed 2 years of galactic resources and countless lives. It will continue for as long as those who profit from it remain in power. Change does not come from asking politely. Before Ayla could respond, 4 more Jedi materialized from the crowd. 2 humans, a Zabrak and a Keldor in breathing apparatus. Their lightsabers blazed in formation, blue, green, yellow, and purple, creating a wall of plasma between Thanos and his destination. The Zabrak stepped forward, his horned head lowered aggressively. You've been asked to surrender peacefully. That offer is about to expire. Thanos studied them with mild interest. 5 Jedi Knights, dozens of clone troopers establishing firing positions, gunships overhead with heavy weapons armed and ready. They believed numbers and tactics would compensate for the fundamental power disparity they couldn't yet comprehend. He almost pitied them. "I will walk to your temple," Thanos announced calmly. "You may accompany me as escorts or as casualties. The choice is yours." The Zabrak lunged, his lightsaber cutting a lethal arc toward Thanos' neck, a killing strike executed with the precision of years of combat training. The blade should have cleaved through armor and flesh, ending the confrontation before it truly began. The time stone flared green. Reality stuttered. The Zabrak's attack slowed to a crawl, his body frozen mid-leap as temporal energy wrapped around him like amber. Thanos walked past the suspended Jedi, leaving him trapped in a pocket of dilated time where seconds passed like hours. The other Jedi stared in horror as their companion remained locked in his strike, unable to move or even blink. "Your weapons are impressive," Thanos observed, studying the lightsaber still frozen in mid-swing. "But they operate within the normal flow of time and space. The Infinity Stones transcend such limitations." He continued walking, and this time, the Jedi did not attack. They followed at a distance, lightsabers still active but held in defensive positions. Clone troopers whispered urgently into comlinks, requesting instructions for a threat their training had never anticipated. Ayla Secura fell into step beside him, her expression a mix of fascination and dread. "What are you?" "I am inevitable," Thanos replied. "I am the solution this galaxy needs, whether it wants me or not." Behind them, the Zabrak Jedi remained frozen, a testament to power that operated beyond the Force's ancient rules. And ahead, the Jedi Temple loomed larger, a sanctuary about to face a crisis its 1,000 generations of wisdom had never prepared for. The Clone Wars had just become far more complicated. The Jedi Temple's main entrance had been built to inspire awe, massive doors of bronzium decorated with reliefs depicting the Order's founding, flanked by statues of legendary masters whose wisdom had shaped galactic history. Thousands of beings passed through these doors daily, younglings beginning their training, knights returning from missions, senators seeking counsel, diplomats requesting mediation. None of them had ever arrived like Thanos. The Mad Titan ascended the temple steps with Ayla Secura and her fellow Jedi maintaining a wary perimeter around him. Clone troopers had established firing positions on every nearby rooftop, their DC-15 rifles trained on the massive figure whose very presence seemed to warp the air around him. Gunships circled overhead in holding patterns. waiting for orders that hadn't come, because no commanding officer could decide whether this was a military threat or a diplomatic incident. The temple doors opened before Thanos reached them, and 3 figures emerged to meet him on the stairs. Master Yoda stood at the center despite his diminutive size, his Geimer stick planted firmly on the stone, his ancient eyes studying Thanos with an intensity that suggested he was perceiving far more than physical form. To his left, Mace Windu radiated controlled power, his hand resting near his lightsaber, his stance balanced between peace and readiness for violence. On Yoda's right, Obi-Wan Kenobi presented the image of diplomatic composure, though Thanos detected the tension coiled beneath his calm exterior. "Welcome to the Jedi Temple," Obi-Wan said with practiced courtesy. Though his tone carried an edge of steel, "I am Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is Grand Master Yoda and Master Mace Windu of the Jedi High Council. We've heard some concerning reports about your arrival on Coruscant." Concerning reports. Thanos stopped 3 steps below them, his elevated position still leaving him at eye level with the standing masters. "I destroyed a droid. I walked through your city. I demonstrated a fraction of my capabilities to those who attempted to detain me. If these concern you, then what follows will terrify you." Yoda's ears twitched. "Sense much about you we do, yet understand you we do not. Of the Force you are not, yet power you possess, undeniable it is. The Force is your paradigm, not mine." Thanos raised his left hand, displaying the Infinity Gauntlet openly. 6 stones pulsed in their settings, each one radiating energy that made the Jedi's connection to the Force ripple and distort. "I command the fundamental aspects of reality itself: space, time, power, mind, soul, and reality. Your Force is impressive, but it is not the only cosmic power in existence." Mace Windu's expression hardened. "Those stones, they're the source of your abilities. They are tools that focus universal constants. Without them, I am still Thanos, the last son of Titan, architect of balance, executor of inevitable solutions. With them, I am unstoppable." He lowered his hand, but kept his gaze fixed on Yoda. "I sense you are considered wise among your people, Grand Master. Then you must recognize what I have already observed. Your Republic is dying, and your Clone Wars are accelerating its demise." "Bold words from an outsider," Mace said. "You arrive unannounced, demonstrate hostile capabilities, and presume to judge a government that has stood for over 1,000 years. 1,000 years of growth has brought you to the brink of collapse." Thanos descended 1 step, and all 3 Jedi tensed. "I have studied civilizations across my own galaxy. The pattern is always the same: expansion without sustainability, resources consumed faster than they regenerate, populations growing beyond their environment's capacity to support them. Your Clone Wars are not a political conflict. They are the death spasm of a system that exceeded its limits decades ago." Obi-Wan stepped forward, his voice measured but firm. "You speak of death and limits as if they're inevitable. The Jedi believe in hope, in the capacity for positive change. We fight this war not because we desire it, but because we must protect those who cannot protect themselves." "And how many have you protected?" Thanos asked. 2 years of war. How many worlds have fallen? How many civilians died while you protected them? How many clones, beings bred specifically for combat, sacrificed themselves for a cause they never chose? The question hung in the air like a blade. Thanos watched Obi-Wan's composure crack slightly, saw the weight of command and loss reflected in his eyes. The Soul Stone revealed deeper truths. This man had sent thousands to their deaths, had watched his clone troopers fall under his orders, had buried friends and students while following the Republic's directives. The cost of war is always terrible, Obi-Wan admitted quietly. But surrender to the Separatists would mean abandoning billions to tyranny and corporate exploitation. We fight because the alternative is worse. There is a third alternative. Thanos spread his arms, the gauntlet catching the afternoon sunlight. Balance, true balance, not the artificial equilibrium your Jedi code preaches, where you deny passion and emotion while claiming to serve life. I speak of mathematical balance, populations aligned with available resources, civilizations scaled to sustainable levels, futures secured through difficult but necessary choices. Yoda's eyes narrowed. Speak plainly, you should. Balance through what means? Culling. Thanos let the words settle, watched their reactions cascade from confusion to comprehension to horror. My own world died because we refused to make hard choices. Titan was a paradise, beautiful, advanced, prosperous. We exceeded our capacity, depleted our resources, and descended into chaos. I proposed a solution, random, dispassionate selection. Half the population removed to ensure the other half could thrive. They called me a madman and did nothing. Titan is now a graveyard. Mace Windu's hand moved to his lightsaber. You're talking about mass murder. I am talking about salvation. Thanos' voice remained calm, almost gentle. In my own galaxy, I fulfilled my destiny. I collected the Infinity Stones and eliminated half of all life with a single snap. Trillions died instantly, painlessly, but trillions more inherited a universe with enough resources to flourish. Famines ended. Wars over scarcity ceased. The survivors mourned, but they lived. That is balance. The Temple Plaza had gone deathly quiet. Clone troopers on the surrounding buildings struggled to process what they were hearing. Jedi Knights who had moved closer to observe the confrontation stood frozen in disbelief. Even the perpetual hum of Coruscant's traffic seemed to fade into shocked silence. You committed genocide, Obi-Wan said, his voice hollow. You murdered trillions and call it salvation? I saved quadrillions. Thanos met his gaze without flinching. The survivors of my universe now thrive in a galaxy no longer strangling itself with overpopulation. Their children will never know the resource wars, the famines, the collapse that would have destroyed everything. I gave them a future. That required sacrifice, yes, but the alternative was extinction. Yoda struck his Geimer stick against the stone, the sharp crack echoing across the plaza. Sense in you, I do. Conviction absolute. Believe yourself righteous, you do. But wrong you are, Thanos of Titan. The Force teaches us that all life is precious. Balance is not found through destruction, but through harmony with the living Force. Your Force allowed this war to begin, Thanos countered. Your precious balance permitted a Sith Lord to manipulate your Republic into breeding a slave army. Your harmony watched while corporations bought Senate votes and exploited entire species. Do not lecture me about balance when your own galaxy burns. The accusation struck deep. Thanos could see it in their faces. The Jedi knew they had failed, that something fundamental had gone wrong under their watch. The Clone Wars had erupted despite their vigilance. and every day they fought felt like another step away from the peace they'd sworn to maintain. Mace Windu ignited his lightsaber, the purple blade humming to life. "Your philosophy is poisoned. We will not allow you to bring your genocidal crusade to our galaxy." "You cannot stop me!" Thanos raised the gauntlet but didn't activate any stones. "Not yet. But I am not here to impose my will without offering a choice. I will observe your clone wars. I will study your Republic and your Separatists, your Jedi and your Sith. If I find a path to sustainable balance without my intervention, I will respect it. But if I determine this galaxy is spiraling toward the same fate as Titan..." He let the threat hang unfinished, more terrible for what was left unsaid. Yoda closed his eyes, reaching deep into the Force. When he opened them again, there was profound sadness in his ancient gaze. "A great disturbance you have brought, Thanos. A shadow not of the dark side, but of something older, something that sees the Force itself as insufficient." "The Force is magnificent," Thanos acknowledged, "but it is not absolute. Your galaxy has grown dependent on mysticism while ignoring practical mathematics. Your Jedi protect billions while your populations exceed trillions. The equation does not balance. It never has." Obi-Wan deactivated his lightsaber, his expression pained but thoughtful. "If we refuse your observation, if we demand you leave our galaxy immediately..." Thanos smiled, a cold, knowing expression that held no warmth. "Then I will demonstrate why the Infinity Gauntlet makes demands irrelevant." He raised his left hand, and all 6 stones blazed simultaneously. The demonstration lasted exactly 7 seconds. The Reality Stone flared crimson, and the bronzium doors of the Jedi Temple transformed into cascading water that flowed upward, defying gravity before reforming into their original state. The Space Stone pulsed blue, and Thanos vanished from the steps, reappearing simultaneously in 6 different locations across the plaza, each instant solid and real, speaking in perfect unison before collapsing back into a single form. The Time Stone ignited green, and every Jedi present watched their own future selves flicker into existence for a heartbeat, showing them standing in this exact spot 1 hour from now, expressions grim but no longer hostile. The Power Stone erupted violet, and a lance of pure energy shot skyward, punching through Coruscant's atmosphere and continuing into space where it struck an abandoned Separatist munitions depot in orbit. The explosion bloomed like a miniature sun, visible even in daylight. The Mind Stone glowed yellow, and every clone trooper on the surrounding rooftops suddenly knew with absolute certainty the exact number of lives Thanos had ended in his own universe. 3,528, 942, 70, 448. The knowledge struck them like a physical blow. Finally, the Soul Stone blazed orange, and for one terrible moment, every Force-sensitive being within a kilometer radius felt the weight of those trillions of souls, felt their fear, their confusion, their acceptance, and ultimately, their peace. The psychic resonance drove several Padawans to their knees, tears streaming down their faces. Then the stones dimmed, and Thanos stood unchanged on the temple steps, his expression neutral. "That," he said quietly, "was a whisper. Would you like to hear me speak?" Mace Windu's lightsaber trembled in his grip. Obi-Wan had gone pale, his hand pressed against his temple as if warding off a migraine. Even Yoda swayed slightly, his centuries of discipline barely maintaining his composure against the existential dread the Soul Stone had revealed. "You have made your point," Yoda said, his voice strained. power immense you possess. Deny it, we cannot. But power alone does not grant wisdom, and wisdom teaches that annihilation is never the answer, no matter how complex the question. Then provide me an alternative. Thanos descended the remaining steps, standing now at their level. Up close, his sheer physical presence was overwhelming. 8 feet of purple-skinned muscle wrapped in armor that had survived battles across galaxies. Show me how your Republic will survive this war. Demonstrate how your Senate will overcome the corruption strangling it. Prove that your Jedi Order can protect a galaxy that has grown beyond your capacity to safeguard. Before anyone could respond, a new presence announced itself through the Force. Dark, powerful, and approaching rapidly, Thanos turned toward the speeder that was descending toward the temple platform, recognizing immediately the calculated malevolence radiating from its passenger. Count Dooku emerged from the speeder with theatrical grace, his curved lightsaber hilt visible at his belt, his aristocratic features arranged in an expression of diplomatic courtesy. Behind him, the skeletal form of General Grievous unfolded from the vehicle's cargo space, 4 arms ready to draw, the lightsabers hanging from his belt like trophies. "How fascinating," Dooku said, his cultured voice carrying across the plaza. The Jedi Council meeting with an unknown entity in broad daylight, while the galaxy burns around them. Some things never change. Mace Windu's expression hardened. "Dooku, you have considerable nerve showing your face on Coruscant. This is Republic territory, and you're a wanted war criminal." "I'm here under flag of truce," Dooku replied smoothly. "When our sensors detected an energy signature powerful enough to reach across star systems, the Separatist Council decided someone should investigate. I volunteered, curious to meet the being who could make the Jedi Council look genuinely frightened for once." Thanos studied the newcomer with interest. The Soul Stone revealed depths of complexity. This man had been a Jedi once, trained in their ways before abandoning their order for something darker. He served another master, a hidden puppet master pulling strings on both sides of the conflict. Yet beneath the layers of deception and political maneuvering, Dooku genuinely believed the Republic was corrupt and needed to be replaced. "You are Count Dooku," Thanos stated, "leader of the Separatist movement, former Jedi Master, current apprentice to a Sith Lord who orchestrates this war from the shadows." The plaza went silent. Dooku's composure cracked for just an instant, surprise flickering across his features before being ruthlessly suppressed. "You presume much based on... The Soul Stone sees truth beneath deception," Thanos interrupted. "Your master is Darth Sidious. He controls both sides of this conflict. The Republic's Chancellor and the Separatist movement dance to his design. This war is theater, Count Dooku, and you are merely an actor playing your assigned role." Obi-Wan stepped forward, his eyes locked on Dooku. "Is this true? The Separatist movement is controlled by a Sith Lord." Dooku's expression shifted to calculated assessment. "Even if such accusations had merit, they would change nothing. The Republic is still corrupt. The Jedi still serve a failing system. Whether my allies share all their plans with me is irrelevant to the fundamental truth. This galaxy needs change, and the Separatists will provide it." "Your Separatists will provide nothing," Thanos said flatly. "When the war concludes, your Sith Master will have consolidated power. The Republic will transform into an empire. Democracy will die to thunderous applause. You, Count Dooku, will be discarded once your usefulness expires." probably killed by your master's true apprentice. General Grievous's mechanical breathing grew louder, his clawed feet scraping against the stone as he moved protectively closer to Dooku, the cyborg general's yellow eyes fixed on Thanos with murderous intent. "You speak treasonous lies about Count Dooku. I should kill you where you stand." Thanos glanced at the cyborg with mild curiosity. "You are a being of flesh trapped in a machine, driven by hatred of the Jedi for perceived wrongs. You collect lightsabers as trophies, compensation for the organic body you lost. You believe yourself a warrior, but you are merely a weapon wielded by others." Grievous's mechanical hand snapped to his belt, drawing 4 lightsabers in a blur of motion. The blades ignited, blue, green, yellow, and purple, stolen from Jedi he had personally killed. He raised them in a defensive pattern that showcased years of combat programming. "I am the supreme military commander of the Separatist droid armies. I have killed hundreds of Jedi. I fear nothing." "Then you are a fool." Thanos raised the gauntlet, and the time stone pulsed green. Grievous froze mid-strike, his 4 lightsabers suspended in the air. But this was different from the temporal stasis Thanos had demonstrated earlier. Instead, the cyborg began moving backward, his attack reversing, his lightsabers deactivating and returning to his belt, his body folding back into the speeder. Time unwound around him like a recording played in reverse, pulling him back through the last 30 seconds of his existence. Then Thanos released the effect, and Grievous stood exactly where he had been when he'd first emerged from the speeder, his hands empty, his mechanical mind struggling to reconcile memories of a future that had been erased. "I have reset you," Thanos explained calmly. "Your actions from the last half-minute have been undone. Your threats were never made, your lightsabers never drawn. I can do this infinitely, trap you in a loop of your own aggression, forcing you to relive the same moments until your mechanical components fail from the temporal stress. Or you can stand quietly while the adults speak." Grievous remained motionless, his processors calculating odds and finding no acceptable outcome. For perhaps the first time in his existence as a cyborg, he experienced something approaching genuine fear. Dooku's expression had shifted from diplomatic courtesy to intense interest. "Remarkable. You wield power that operates outside the Force entirely. The Separatist Council would be very interested in discussing an alliance with someone of your capabilities." "Would they?" Thanos tilted his head slightly. "Let me guess your offer. Join the Separatists. Use my power to crush the Republic. Ensure victory for your cause. In exchange, you promise me a position of authority in the new galactic order, resources for whatever goals I might pursue, and the gratitude of the Confederacy." "Essentially, yes." Dooku's voice carried the smooth confidence of a career diplomat. "You've already identified the Republic's failings. Why defend a corrupt system when you could help build something better? Because your Separatists are equally flawed." Thanos gestured toward the cityscape around them. "Your droid armies are manufactured using the same unsustainable resource extraction that plagues the Republic. Your corporate backers seek profit, not reform. Your movement will simply replace one corrupt oligarchy with another. You offer change of leadership, not change of philosophy." Mace Windu reignited his lightsaber, positioning himself between Thanos and Dooku. "This conversation is over. Dooku, your flag of truce is rescinded. Surrender now or face the consequences. I think not. Dooku's hand moved to his lightsaber hilt. I came to meet this Thanos of Titan and deliver an invitation. That task is complete. General Grievous, we're leaving. You will leave when I permit it, Thanos said softly. Both of you represent the fundamental problem consuming this galaxy. The Republic and the Separatists are two sides of the same diseased coin. You wage war over political philosophy while ignoring the mathematical reality. Your galaxy contains finite resources supporting infinite growth. The war is merely a symptom of that imbalance. Yoda stepped forward, his Geimer stick striking stone with finality. Enough. Thanos, offer you a proposal. I do. Come before the Senate. Speak your concerns to the galactic government. If wisdom your words contain, heard they will be. If change is needed through proper channels, it will come. Proper channels, Thanos repeated, his tone mixing amusement with disdain. The same Senate that debates endlessly while clone troopers die. The same government that your Sith master manipulates like a puppet. You waste my time with bureaucratic theater. Then what do you propose? Obi-Wan asked, his voice carrying genuine curiosity despite the tension. If you reject both Republic and Separatist, if you believe we're all doomed to collapse, what alternative exists? Thanos looked at each of them in turn. Jedi masters sworn to protect life, a Sith apprentice pursuing power through destruction, a Cyborg general defined by hatred, clone troopers bred for war, all of them trapped in a conflict that would solve nothing. I will travel this galaxy, he announced. I will observe your Clone Wars firsthand. I will witness how your Republic prosecutes this conflict, how your Separatists pursue their rebellion, how your Jedi struggle to maintain peace through violence. And when I have seen enough, I will render judgment. Judgment? Dooku's eyebrow arched. You position yourself as arbiter of galactic fate? I position myself as the only being willing to make the necessary choice. Thanos raised the gauntlet, and all 6 stones began to glow. You have 1 year, 12 standard months to prove that this galaxy can achieve sustainable balance without my intervention. If you succeed, I will leave you to your fate. If you fail... He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. The space stone flared and Thanos vanished, teleporting away from the Jedi Temple to begin his observation of a galaxy at war. Behind him, Jedi and Sith stood together on the temple steps for the first time in a millennium, united by one terrible certainty. The greatest threat the Clone Wars had yet faced had nothing to do with Republic or Separatist, light side or dark. It was a mad Titan with the power to reshape reality, and he had just declared himself judge of their entire civilization. The outer rim world of Ryloth had become a meat grinder over the past 6 months. Separatist forces under Wat Tambor's command had invaded to secure the planet's Rill spice mines, and the Republic had responded with a counteroffensive that turned Twi'lek cities into battlefields. Clone troopers fought street by street against endless waves of battle droids, while the native population huddled in ruins, caught between 2 armies that claimed to be liberating them. Thanos materialized in the midst of the conflict without warning. The space stone deposited him in the central plaza of Lesu, Ryloth's capital city, where a full battalion of clone troopers had established a defensive perimeter against an advancing separatist column. The clones reacted with impressive discipline. Several squads immediately swiveled their weapons, toward the massive purple figure that had appeared in their midst, while others maintained their focus on the approaching droid army. "Hold fire!" Commander Cody's voice cut through the chaos, his distinctive orange-marked armor identifying him as he approached Thanos with his DC-15 rifle lowered but ready. "You're the one from Coruscant. The Jedi Council sent word galaxy-wide about you." Did they? Thanos surveyed the battlefield with calculating eyes. Destroyed buildings leaked smoke into Ryloth's dusty atmosphere. Civilian bodies lay scattered among the rubble. Twi'leks who had been caught in crossfire or starved during the siege. Clone casualties were being dragged behind barricades for medical attention, their white armor scorched and cracked. What did they tell you? That you're extremely dangerous, possibly hostile, and possess abilities beyond standard combat parameters. Cody's voice remained steady, but Thanos detected the tension beneath his professional demeanor. "They also said you're observing the war, so observe from behind our lines and stay out of the way." A massive explosion rocked the plaza as Separatist artillery found its range. 3 clone troopers were thrown through the air by the blast, their bodies ragdoll limp before they hit the ground. Medics rushed forward immediately, but Thanos could see that 2 of the 3 were already dead, their armor breached, their organs pulverized by overpressure. "How many have you lost taking this city?" Thanos asked. Cody's helmet turned toward him, photoreceptors cold and unreadable. "That's classified military information. I don't need you to tell me, I can count." Thanos gestured toward the defensive positions, where exhausted clones manned heavy weapons with the mechanical efficiency of soldiers pushed beyond their limits. 47 dead in this sector alone, another 100 wounded severely enough to require evacuation. You've been holding this position for 3 days against an enemy that doesn't tire, doesn't fear, and can be replaced infinitely faster than your losses can be reinforced. "We hold because the mission requires it," Cody replied firmly. "General Skywalker and Commander Tano are pushing through the northern districts. Once they break through, we can consolidate and push the Separatists off-world. Every position we hold saves Twi'lek lives." "Does it?" Thanos walked to the edge of the barricade, studying the Separatist forces assembling for another push. Hundreds of B-1 battle droids, supported by heavier B-2 super battle droids and spider-like droid tanks. Behind them, he could see Twi'lek civilians being herded into processing centers. The Separatists were using the local population as shields and hostages. I see beings used as bargaining chips. I see clone soldiers dying to protect people who will starve even if you win because your Republic's supply lines cannot support refugee populations across 1,000 contested worlds. I see tactical stalemate masquerading as progress. Another explosion, closer this time. A clone trooper's helmet cracked and he crumpled without a sound. His squad didn't even pause to mourn. They simply adjusted their firing positions and continued laying down suppressing fire against the advancing droids. Thanos watched the nameless soldier die and felt nothing. Death was inevitable, necessary, part of the universal balance. But there was death with purpose and death as waste. This was waste. "You're right," Cody said quietly, surprising Thanos. "It is a stalemate. It's been a stalemate since we landed. Every meter of ground costs lives, and the Separatists just manufacture more droids. But we're soldiers. We follow orders. We complete the mission. That's what we were made for." "Made for?" Thanos turned to study the clone commander more closely. "You are a manufactured being, created in a laboratory, bred for combat. given false memories of training you never actually experienced. Your entire existence is service to a republic that views you as equipment rather than citizens. Tell me, Commander Cody, if you could choose differently, what would you be? The question hung in the air like smoke. Around them, the battle continued. Blaster fire, explosions, shouted orders, the screams of the wounded. But in that moment, Cody stood frozen, his weapon lowering slightly as he processed an inquiry no one had ever thought to ask a clone trooper. "I don't understand the question," he finally said. "If you were not a soldier, what would you choose to be? If you had grown naturally rather than accelerated, if you had been raised with options rather than programming, what life would you have pursued?" Cody's helmet tilted slightly, and through the Soul Stone, Thanos perceived the confusion roiling beneath that armored exterior. The clone had never considered the question because the answer had been predetermined before his first cell divided. He was a soldier. That was his entire identity, his complete purpose. To imagine something else was to imagine not existing at all. "It doesn't matter," Cody said finally, his voice harder. "I am what I am. We all are, and we have a mission to complete. Your mission is futile." Thanos gestured toward the Separatist lines where the next assault wave was forming. "Even if you take this city, another world will need liberating. Even if you win this battle, the war continues. Your republic is trapped in an unsustainable conflict that will drain its resources and devour its people, clone and natural-born alike, until nothing remains but exhaustion and defeat." "Then what's your solution?" Cody challenged, and Thanos heard genuine curiosity beneath the aggression. "You've been telling everyone how broken we are. What would you do differently?" Before Thanos could answer, the Separatist assault began. The droid army surged forward in waves, hundreds of units advancing with the inexorable momentum of machines that felt no fear and needed no morale. Clone troopers opened fire with disciplined efficiency, their training manifesting in precisely aimed shots that dropped droids with economical accuracy. But for every droid destroyed, 2 more took its place. The mathematics of attrition favored the side that could manufacture reinforcements faster than they could be eliminated. A droid tank broke through the barricade on the eastern flank, its laser cannon sweeping across clone positions and cutting down an entire squad in seconds. Cody was already moving, shouting orders, redirecting fire to contain the breach. But Thanos could see the outcome forming. The clones would be overwhelmed within minutes unless something changed. He raised the Infinity Gauntlet. The Power Stone blazed violet, and a lance of pure energy erupted from Thanos' fist. It struck the droid tank dead center, and the machine simply ceased to exist. Disintegrated at the molecular level by power that operated on scales, these simple combat units couldn't withstand. The beam continued past the tank, carving through the Separatist formation like a scalpel through tissue. 200 battle droids were destroyed in an instant, their circuits overloaded, their chassis melted to slag. The battlefield went silent. Clone troopers stared at Thanos in shock. The Separatist advance faltered as tactical programming struggled to assess a threat that had just eliminated an entire column without apparent effort. Even Cody remained frozen, his rifle hanging forgotten in his grip. Thanos lowered his hand, the Power Stone dimming to its dormant state. "That is my solution, Commander. Overwhelming force applied with precision, no drawn-out attrition, no tactical complexity, simply the direct application of superior power to eliminate the threat." "You just saved our position," Cody said slowly. I delayed your defeat." Thanos turned away from the battlefield, his expression unreadable. "More droids will come. They always do. And eventually you will run out of soldiers before the Separatists run out of machines. Unless someone ends this war permanently." Behind them, the Separatist forces were regrouping, their simple programming adapting to the new threat. But before they could mount another assault, a green lightsaber ignited in the ruins to the north, followed by a blue one. Two figures leapt into view, moving with the enhanced agility of Force users, a young Togruta female with distinctive headtails, and a human male whose confidence radiated across the plaza. Anakin Skywalker had arrived, and he was not alone. Anakin Skywalker landed in the plaza with the kind of dramatic flair that had made him legendary across the Clone Wars. His blue lightsaber carving through a B-2 super battle droid before his boots touched ground, his prosthetic hand already reaching out through the Force to crush another droid's chassis. Behind him, Ahsoka Tano moved with the fluid grace of youth and training, her green blade deflecting blaster bolts back into the droid formations with precise economy. "Cody!" Anakin shouted over the chaos, cutting down two more droids without breaking stride. "We've broken through the northern defenses. If we can hold this plaza for another hour, we can establish a forward." He stopped mid-sentence, his eyes locking onto Thanos. The Mad Titan stood among the clone troopers like a monument carved from living stone, his massive form unmoved by the battle raging around him. The Infinity Gauntlet gleamed in Ryloth's dusty sunlight, 6 stones pulsing with barely contained power. Anakin's connection to the Force immediately screamed warnings: danger, power, otherness. This was the being the Council had warned about, the entity that had threatened the Jedi Temple and spoken of genocide as salvation. "You," Anakin said, his lightsaber still ignited, his stance shifting subtly into an aggressive form. "Thanos, the Council said you were observing the war, not participating in it." "I eliminated a tactical threat," Thanos replied calmly. "Your commander was about to lose this position. I prevented that outcome." Ahsoka moved to Anakin's side, her young face set in serious lines. "Master, the Council briefing said he's extremely dangerous. We should..." "I know. Snips?" Anakin's eyes never left Thanos, studying him the way a duelist studies an opponent. "But he's also standing in the middle of our defensive position, which means we need to figure out what he wants." "I want to understand why you fight," Thanos said. "Commander Cody believes in duty and following orders. What do you believe in, Anakin Skywalker? What drives the Chosen One to wade through blood in a war that has no end?" The title made Anakin flinch slightly. He hated being called the Chosen One, hated the weight of prophecy that had hung over him since childhood. "I fight to protect people who can't protect themselves, to stop the Separatists from enslaving entire populations, to end this war so the galaxy can have peace." Noble words. Thanos gestured toward the ruined city around them, where Twi'lek civilians picked through rubble, searching for survivors. "But Ryloth was peaceful before you arrived. Then the Separatists invaded to secure resources. Then the Republic counter-invaded to liberate it. Now Ryloth is a battlefield where natives starve, while 2 armies destroy their infrastructure in the name of saving them. Tell me how this represents protection." "The Separatists started this," Ahsoka interjected, her voice sharp with conviction. "If we don't fight back, they'll just take more worlds. More people will suffer under their occupation. And if you do fight back, people suffer under your liberation." Thanos took a step forward and both Jedi tensed. I have observed 6 contested worlds since leaving Coruscant. Christophsis, Geonosis, Felucia, Umbara, Onderon, and now Ryloth. The pattern is identical. Separatists invade, Republic responds. Civilian populations are caught in the middle, while both sides claim moral superiority. The war doesn't liberate worlds. It simply determines which flag flies over the ruins. Anakin's jaw tightened. It's not that simple. The Separatists are backed by the Sith. Count Dooku serves a dark agenda that goes beyond political independence. If we let them win, the entire galaxy falls to darkness. Yet your Republic is manipulated by that same darkness. Thanos watched recognition flash across Anakin's face. The young Jedi knew something was wrong with the Republic, even if he couldn't articulate it. You fight for a government that breeds slaves to die in its wars. You serve a chancellor who accumulates power with each passing month. You defend a system that grows more authoritarian while claiming to preserve democracy. How is this different from the tyranny you oppose? Because we're trying to preserve freedom, Anakin insisted, but his voice carried less certainty than his words suggested. Once the war ends, once the Separatists are defeated, the Republic can return to peace. The emergency powers will be relinquished. Things will go back to normal. Will they? Thanos tilted his head slightly. In my experience, governments that seize power during crisis rarely surrender it willingly. Your Chancellor Palpatine shows no signs of reducing his authority. Your Senate grows weaker while your military grows stronger. You are not preserving the Republic, Anakin Skywalker. You are witnessing its transformation into something else. The Separatist forces chose that moment to launch another assault, as if the universe itself wanted to prove Thanos' point about endless conflict. Droid tanks rumbled forward while aerial units screamed overhead, their laser cannons strafing clone positions. The battle erupted with renewed intensity, and Anakin had to make a choice: continue debating philosophy or defend his troops. He chose duty. Ahsoka, take the western flank. Cody, concentrate fire on those tanks. Anakin launched himself toward the nearest threat, his lightsaber a blue blur as he carved through droid formations with the aggressive precision that made him the Republic's most effective general. Thanos watched the young Jedi fight and saw echoes of his younger self. Brilliant, powerful, driven by absolute conviction that his path was righteous. Anakin believed deeply in the cause he served, but that belief was built on foundations the war was steadily eroding. The Soul Stone revealed the cracks forming in his certainty, the growing doubts about the Republic's methods, the anger at being forced into impossible choices, the fear of losing those he cared about. This was a soul balanced on a knife's edge. The battle raged for another 20 minutes. Anakin and Ahsoka fought with the kind of synchronized teamwork that came from years of training together, their lightsabers weaving patterns of defense and death. Clone troopers held their positions with disciplined courage, their casualties mounting but their lines unbroken, and gradually, the Separatist assault faltered. Too many droids destroyed, too much momentum lost. Tactical algorithms determining that retreat was more logical than continued engagement. As the droid army withdrew, Anakin returned to where Thanos still stood, his armor now splattered with oil and carbon scoring. He was breathing hard, his prosthetic hand flexing with unconscious tension, his eyes still carrying the fierce focus of combat. "You didn't help," Anakin noted. "You didn't need my help," Thanos replied. You won your tactical engagement through skill and determination, but you won nothing of strategic value. Tomorrow the Separatists will attack again. The day after that, another assault. This will continue until one side exhausts their resources or political will. That is not victory. That is attrition disguised as progress. Anakin deactivated his lightsaber, his expression troubled. So what would you do? You keep criticizing how we fight, but you haven't offered an alternative beyond vague talk about balance and culling. I would end the war, Thanos said simply, not through military victory or political negotiation. I would use the Infinity Gauntlet to eliminate the root cause of the conflict, the unsustainable expansion that makes resource wars inevitable. You mean killing billions of beings? Ahsoka had rejoined them, her young face set in hard lines. That's not a solution. That's murder on a galactic scale. It is mathematics. Thanos raised the gauntlet, letting them see the stones clearly. Your galaxy contains approximately 100 quadrillion sentient beings spread across millions of inhabited worlds. Your industrial capacity, even with unlimited energy, cannot sustainably support that population. The Clone Wars are merely the first symptom of collapse. Even if you win, even if the Republic survives, resource scarcity will trigger new conflicts within decades, unless the population is brought into balance with available resources. Anakin's eyes narrowed. You're talking about the same thing you did in your own universe, killing half of all life. Saving half of all life, Thanos corrected. The survivors inherit a galaxy with room to breathe, resources to thrive, futures worth living. It is a gift, even if those who receive it cannot see it immediately. It's insanity. Anakin's hand moved toward his lightsaber. You're insane if you think we'll let you commit genocide. You cannot stop me. Thanos spoke without arrogance, merely stating fact. But I gave your galaxy 1 year to prove me wrong. 6 months remain. If you can demonstrate sustainable peace without my intervention, I will respect that outcome. But if you continue this path to mutual destruction, he left the threat unfinished, turning to survey the battlefield, where clone troopers were already beginning the grim work of collecting their dead. 47 casualties had become 53, young men, genetically identical, bred for war and discarded when broken. Their bodies would be cremated or buried in mass graves, their names forgotten except by the brothers who fought beside them. The Force chose you for something, Thanos said to Anakin, his voice softer now. You are powerful beyond normal measure, gifted with abilities that should make you exceptional, but you waste that power in service to a dying system. You could reshape the galaxy if you had the courage to see beyond Jedi dogma and Republic loyalty. The Jedi Code teaches us to serve life, not ourselves, Ahsoka said firmly. That's what separates us from the Sith. We don't use our power for personal gain or to impose our will on others. Yet you impose your will on entire star systems. Thanos gestured toward the city. You liberated Ryloth by destroying half its infrastructure. You saved the Twi'leks by turning their home into a war zone. Your code claims to serve life, but your actions suggest you serve abstract principles that convenience your conscience. The accusation struck deep. Thanos could see it in their expressions. These were not cruel beings or calculating tyrants. They were idealists struggling to reconcile their beliefs with the brutal reality of war. Every battle chipped away at their certainty. Every casualty added weight to doubts they couldn't acknowledge. Master, Ahsoka said quietly. "We should report this to the Council. He's admitted he plans to do something terrible if the war doesn't end. They need to know." Anakin nodded slowly, though his eyes remained locked on Thanos. "You're right, Snips, but I don't think he's trying to hide his intentions." He addressed Thanos directly. "You want us to know what you're planning. You want us to be afraid." "I want you to be motivated," Thanos corrected. "Fear is useful only when it drives productive change. You have 6 months to end this war and establish sustainable peace. If you succeed, I will leave your galaxy untouched. If you fail, I will impose the solution you lack the courage to implement yourselves." The space stone flared blue and Thanos vanished, teleporting away to continue his observation elsewhere in the galaxy. Anakin and Ahsoka stood in the ruined plaza, surrounded by exhausted clone troopers and devastated cityscape, contemplating an ultimatum that made the Clone Wars seem almost manageable by comparison. "He's bluffing," Ahsoka said, though her voice lacked conviction. "He has to be bluffing. No one would actually—" "The Council said he already did it once," Anakin replied grimly. "In his own universe. Killed trillions with a snap of his fingers." He looked at his prosthetic hand, flexing the mechanical fingers. "And we have 6 months to stop him." "How do you stop someone like that?" Ahsoka asked. "He has power that operates outside the Force. Our lightsabers can't touch him. Our abilities can't affect him. What do we do?" Anakin's expression hardened with determination, the same fierce resolve that had carried him through impossible battles and desperate odds. "We do what we always do, Snips. We find a way. We end this war before he can act. And if that fails—" He didn't finish the thought, because neither of them wanted to acknowledge what would come if they failed. Across the galaxy, in a facility so secret that even most separatist leaders didn't know it existed, Count Dooku stood before a holographic projection of his master. Darth Sidious listened with intense interest as Dooku recounted the confrontation at the Jedi Temple and Thanos' ultimatum. "Interesting," Sidious murmured, his hooded face barely visible through the blue hologram. "A being with power that rivals our own, threatening to upset carefully laid plans. This requires adjustment to our timeline." "Should I attempt to recruit him again?" Dooku asked. "His power would be invaluable to our cause." "No." Sidious's voice carried dark certainty. "Thanos serves only his own vision. He cannot be turned or controlled. But perhaps he can be utilized. Continue your operations, my apprentice. Accelerate the war's final stages. If this mad titan wants to see whether the galaxy can save itself, let us show him exactly how futile that hope truly is." The hologram flickered and died, leaving Dooku alone with troubling thoughts. For the first time in decades, he wondered if his master's plans accounted for every variable, or if Thanos represented the kind of chaos even Sidious couldn't predict. The Clone Wars continued, but now a countdown had begun. 6 months to achieve the impossible, or face a solution that would make the war's casualties seem insignificant by comparison. The planet Mortis existed outside normal space, a realm of pure force energy where reality bent to the will of beings who embodied the light and dark sides themselves. Few knew of its existence. Fewer still could reach it. But Thanos had spent 3 months studying the Clone Wars, and the Force itself had become increasingly curious about him, an entity of power that operated entirely outside its cosmic dance. The invitation came as a ripple in space-time, that even the Infinity Stones recognized as significant. Thanos materialized in a landscape that defied conventional physics. Mountains floated in the air, supported by nothing but crystallized force energy. Rivers flowed upward before cascading back down in impossible geometries. The sky shifted between brilliant daylight and star-filled darkness with no apparent pattern. This was a place where the rules of the material universe held no dominion. 3 figures awaited him on a platform of solid light. The Father stood at the center, an ancient being whose very presence radiated balance between opposing forces. To his right, the daughter embodied the light side, her features serene and luminous with compassion. To his left, the Son represented darkness incarnate, his eyes burning with barely restrained hunger for power. Together, they were the living embodiment of the Force's fundamental nature. "Thanos of Titan," the Father said, his voice echoing with harmonics that suggested he was speaking across multiple dimensions simultaneously. "You have brought something unprecedented into our galaxy, power that does not draw from the Force, yet affects it nonetheless." Thanos studied the 3 beings with interest. The Soul Stone revealed their true nature, not gods despite their appearance, but incredibly powerful Force wielders bound to this realm by ancient design. They maintained a cosmic balance between light and dark, ensuring neither side dominated the galaxy absolutely. "You are the ones the Jedi speak of in their most ancient texts," Thanos observed. "The ones who walked among mortals before retreating to this place. You embody the Force's duality, light and dark, creation and destruction, life and death." "We are balance," the Father confirmed, "as you claim to seek balance in your own way. Yet your balance comes through annihilation, while ours comes through harmony. We wish to meet the being who could threaten our galaxy with methods the Force itself cannot prevent." The Son stepped forward, his movements predatory and eager. "He carries stones of incredible power, Father. I can feel them. Each one a fundamental force of another universe. With such tools, one could reshape reality itself. Imagine what could be accomplished if those stones were wielded by one who truly understood power." "Careful, brother," the daughter warned, her voice gentle but firm. "You sense power and immediately covet it. That is precisely why you cannot be trusted with it." "I covet nothing," the Son snarled. "I seek to free our galaxy from the Jedi's tyranny of light. They preach balance while enforcing their narrow philosophy across thousands of worlds. True freedom requires embracing all aspects of the Force, including the dark side they fear and suppress." Thanos listened to their argument with the detached interest of someone who had heard similar debates countless times. Light versus dark, order versus chaos, control versus freedom. Every civilization wrapped its fundamental conflicts in different terminology, but the underlying patterns remained constant. "Your argument is irrelevant," Thanos said, cutting through their dispute. "Light and dark are simply different expressions of the same energy. The Force flows through all living things, regardless of their moral alignment. Your duality is artificial, a framework imposed by beings who needed to categorize power they couldn't fully comprehend." The Father's expression shifted to something approaching surprise. "You see clearly for an outsider. Yes, the Jedi and Sith have created false divisions within the Force, treating light and dark as opposing teams in an eternal struggle. But the Force itself cares nothing for their philosophies, it simply is." "Then why do you maintain the balance between them?" Thanos asked. "If light and dark are equally valid, Why prevent one side from dominating? Because domination by either extreme leads to stagnation, the father explained. A galaxy controlled entirely by the light side would become static, peaceful but creatively dead, safe but spiritually empty. A galaxy controlled entirely by the dark would consume itself through endless conflict and ambition. Balance requires both, held in dynamic tension. Dynamic tension, Thanos considered the concept. Your balance maintains perpetual conflict. The Jedi and Sith wage their shadow war across millennia. Governments rise and fall. Civilizations grow, collapse, and are replaced. You call this balance, but I see waste. The daughter moved closer, her presence radiating warmth that would have been comforting to anyone susceptible to Force influence. Life requires struggle to have meaning. Growth comes through challenge. Peace earned through hardship is more precious than peace given freely. Our balance ensures the galaxy remains vibrant and alive. Your balance ensures the galaxy remains trapped in cycles of destruction. Thanos raised the gauntlet, letting the One see the Infinity Stones clearly. I have observed your clone wars for 3 months. I have watched Jedi generals send clone soldiers to die for tactical objectives that achieve nothing strategic. I have seen separatist droids slaughter civilians in the name of independence. I have documented supply chains stretched beyond sustainability, economies collapsing under military expenditure, population starving while food rots in contested shipping lanes. This is not dynamic tension. This is systematic failure. The sun laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. Finally, someone who sees the truth. The Republic is dying, strangled by its own corruption and the Jedi's rigid dogma. Only through destruction can something better emerge. Only through the dark side's passion and power can the galaxy be reborn. Your dark side would simply replace one tyranny with another, Thanos replied. The Sith's rule of passion leads to endless power struggles and betrayals. You would burn the galaxy not to create something better, but to satisfy your own hunger for dominance. The son's eyes blazed with anger, but before he could respond, the father raised his hand in a gesture that radiated absolute authority. Enough. We did not bring you here to debate philosophy or judge your methods. We brought you here to understand your intentions. You have threatened our galaxy with culling, with the elimination of half of all life. Do you truly intend to follow through? If necessary. Thanos met the father's gaze without flinching. I gave your galaxy 1 year to demonstrate sustainable peace. 6 months have passed. The war continues with no end in sight. Both sides grow more desperate, more willing to sacrifice civilians for military advantage. The Republic inches closer to dictatorship, while the Separatists fragment into warlord territories. Nothing improves. Everything deteriorates. And you believe killing half the population will solve this? The daughter's voice carried profound sadness. Such an act would traumatize survivors beyond measure. Families torn apart, civilizations crippled. The psychological scars would last generations. The survivors would also inherit a galaxy with room to breathe, Thanos countered. Resources sufficient for their needs. Space to grow without choking on their own expansion. Yes, there would be trauma. Yes, there would be grief. But there would also be future, something your current trajectory cannot promise. The father began to pace, his ancient form moving through the impossible landscape with practiced ease. The Force has shown me visions of what you describe, futures where the Clone Wars spiral into decades of conflict. timelines where the Republic becomes an empire that rules through fear and oppression. Paths where the Jedi Order is destroyed, their teachings lost for generations. You are not wrong about the danger this galaxy faces. Then you understand why my solution may be necessary, Thanos said. I understand why you believe it's necessary, the father replied carefully. But I also see futures where the galaxy survives without such drastic intervention, where individuals make choices that alter the timeline's trajectory, where hope prevails despite overwhelming odds. Hope is not a strategy. Thanos' voice hardened. I have heard countless civilizations speak of hope while their worlds burned. Hope did not save Titan. Hope will not save your galaxy unless it is backed by practical action. The sun circled around Thanos like a predator studying prey. You speak of practical action, yet you wait. 6 months of observation while the galaxy bleeds. If you truly believed your solution was right, you would have acted immediately. Your hesitation suggests doubt. The accusation struck closer to truth than Thanos cared to admit. He had expected to find clear evidence that this galaxy needed culling. Unsustainable growth, resource depletion, civilizations on the brink of collapse. And he had found those things, but he had also found something unexpected. Resilience. Clone troopers who maintained hope despite being bred for slaughter. Jedi who questioned their orders but continued fighting to protect those they could. Civilians who rebuilt after bombardments. Who shared food during sieges, who maintained their humanity in the face of mechanized warfare. The galaxy was broken, but not yet beyond redemption. I hesitate because I am thorough, Thanos said finally. Random culling performed without complete information can cause more harm than benefit. I study this galaxy not from doubt, but from diligence. Or perhaps you study because you've grown weary of being inevitable, the daughter suggested gently. You've carried the burden of cosmic balance alone for so long that you've forgotten other paths exist. You see only the solution that worked before, unable to imagine alternatives. Thanos felt something twist in his chest, an emotion he'd thought long buried beneath layers of determination and sacrifice. The Soul Stone pulsed against his knuckle, and he suddenly saw himself through the daughter's perspective, a being so committed to his chosen path that he'd become trapped by it, unable to deviate even when circumstances suggested flexibility might be wiser. I am not weary, he said, but the words lacked their usual conviction. Liar. The son's voice carried dark amusement. I can sense conflict within you. You came to this galaxy expecting clear answers, but instead you found complexity that challenges your simple mathematics. Half the population removed, but which half? Random selection worked in your universe, but this galaxy's conflicts are not random. Remove the wrong beings, and you might stabilize the current power structures permanently. Remove the right ones, and you might trigger total collapse. Balance is not simple, the father added. It never has been. You seek mathematical perfection in a universe that operates on organic principles. Life is messy, chaotic, unpredictable. That is what makes it precious. Thanos stood silent for a long moment, considering their words. The Infinity Stones pulsed on his gauntlet, each one offering different forms of power, different solutions to the problems he had identified. He could use the Reality Stone to simply rewrite the galaxy's resource distribution. He could use the Mind Stone to alter the population's priorities toward sustainability. He could use the Time Stone to reset the entire Clone Wars. giving both sides a chance to make different choices. Or he could do what he'd always done, what he knew worked, and eliminate half of all life with swift, impartial finality. "The Jedi have a prophecy," the daughter said, breaking the silence. "A chosen one who will bring balance to the Force. He fights in your Clone Wars even now. Anakin Skywalker, perhaps the most powerful Force-sensitive being born in 1,000 generations. Have you considered that your arrival and his destiny might be connected?" "I have observed Skywalker," Thanos replied. "He is powerful but conflicted, loyal to the Jedi yet resentful of their restrictions, devoted to protecting life yet increasingly willing to use dark methods to achieve his goals. He stands on a precipice between light and dark, and I suspect he will fall toward darkness before this war concludes." "Perhaps," the father mused. "Or perhaps he will find a third path, one that transcends the artificial duality of Jedi and Sith. Prophecies are not fixed futures, Thanos. They are possibilities, potentials waiting to be fulfilled, or subverted by choice." "My stones show me probable futures," Thanos said, raising the gauntlet. The time stone began to glow green. "Shall I demonstrate what I see in this galaxy's timeline?" Before any of the ones could respond, Thanos activated the time stone's power. Reality fractured into cascading images, futures branching and diverging like a tree of possibility. They saw Anakin Skywalker standing in the Jedi Temple, his lightsaber ignited, younglings screaming. They saw Palpatine crowned Emperor while the Senate cheered. They saw Order 66 executed across 1,000 worlds, Jedi cut down by the clones they trusted. They saw Death Stars and rebel alliances, Sith Lords and scattered survivors. And through it all, they saw suffering on scales that dwarfed even the Clone Wars casualties. The visions faded and the ones stood shaken, even these ancient beings disturbed by the futures Thanos had revealed. "This is what awaits if events proceed unchecked," Thanos said quietly. "Your chosen one becomes a Sith Lord. Your Republic becomes an empire. Your galaxy trades Clone Wars for tyranny that lasts decades. Compared to that future, my culling would be mercy." The father's expression was grave. "The dark futures you've shown are possible, yes, but they are not inevitable. The Force suggests other paths." "The Force suggests hope," Thanos interrupted. "But hope without action is merely wishful thinking. I have 3 months remaining in my year of observation. If your galaxy cannot demonstrate a path to sustainable peace by then, I will act, and not even the Force itself will stop me." The sun smiled darkly. "I look forward to seeing you try. The Force has shaped this galaxy for eons. You are merely a visitor with borrowed power." "The Infinity Stones are not borrowed," Thanos corrected. "They are earned through sacrifice and will. Your Force is impressive, but it is not omnipotent. If it were, your Clone Wars would never have begun." Before the confrontation could escalate further, the father raised both hands. "This meeting is concluded. You have made your position clear, Thanos. We have made ours equally apparent. What happens in the next 3 months will determine whether we become allies or enemies." "I have no enemies," Thanos said. "Only obstacles to universal balance, and I remove obstacles." The space stone flared, and Thanos vanished from Mortis, returning to the material galaxy where the Clone Wars continued grinding toward their inevitable conclusion. The three ones stood in silence, contemplating what they'd learned. "He will do it," the son said finally. "When his deadline passes, He will use those stones to cull the galaxy, and I do not know if we can stop him." "We may not need to stop him," the father replied thoughtfully. "We may only need to present him with an alternative he cannot ignore." "What alternative?" the daughter asked. "He's convinced that population reduction is the only path to balance." The father's ancient eyes gleamed with purpose. "Then we must show him that balance can be achieved through transformation rather than destruction. The chosen one may yet fulfill his destiny, but not in the way the Jedi expect." On Mortis, the embodiments of the Force began making plans, but across the galaxy, Thanos continued his observation, counting down toward a judgment that would reshape the Star Wars universe forever. 3 months remained. The battle for Mandalore had reached its critical phase when Thanos arrived. The planet's surface was a war zone, Mandalorian resistance fighters clashing with Death Watch terrorists, while Republic forces attempted to restore order without trampling on Mandalore's fierce independence. The conflict embodied everything wrong with the Clone Wars: external powers meddling in local affairs, ideological extremism tearing societies apart, civilian populations caught between factions that claim to represent their interests. Thanos materialized on a rooftop overlooking Sundari's main plaza, where Duchess Satine Kryze was attempting to negotiate with Pre Vizsla, the leader of Death Watch. Clone troopers surrounded the meeting point, their weapons ready but not aimed, a show of force meant to discourage violence while the politicians talked. It was doomed to fail. Thanos could see it in the body language, in the way hands hovered near weapons, in the hatred simmering beneath every diplomatic word. "You represent weakness," Pre Vizsla was saying, his Mandalorian armor gleaming in the afternoon sun. "Your pacifist philosophy has neutered our warrior culture. Mandalore was once feared across the galaxy. Now we're lapdogs to the Republic, begging for their protection." "We're seeking peace in a galaxy at war," Satine countered, her voice steady despite the danger. "Mandalore has suffered enough from endless cycles of violence. Our new way forward is surrender." Pre Vizsla's hand moved to the darksaber at his belt, an ancient weapon whose black blade hummed with dark energy. "You've forgotten what it means to be Mandalorian. We don't negotiate with weakness. We conquer it." The darksaber ignited and chaos erupted. Death Watch soldiers emerged from concealed positions, their blasters firing on both Republic forces and the Duchess's guards. Clone troopers returned fire with disciplined precision. Mandalorian resistance fighters charged into the fray, their warrior culture manifesting in brutal close-quarters combat. Within seconds, the peaceful negotiation had transformed into a bloodbath. Thanos watched Duchess Satine dive behind cover as blaster bolts seared the air where she'd been standing. Her guards formed a protective ring, their armor absorbing hits meant for their leader. Several fell, bleeding, dying, sacrificing themselves for a ruler who preached peace yet required constant protection through violence. The irony was not lost on him. "Enough!" Thanos' voice carried across the battlefield, amplified by the Power Stone until it resonated like thunder. Every combatant froze. Death Watch terrorists, clone troopers, Mandalorian resistance, all of them suddenly aware that something beyond their conflict had arrived. He descended from the rooftop without technology or jetpack, simply stepping off the edge and floating downward on cushions of spatial manipulation. The Space Stone rendered gravity optional, and Thanos touched down in the center of the plaza with barely a sound despite his massive frame. Pre Vizsla recovered first, his darksaber still ignited, his expression shifting from surprise to calculation. "You're the one the Republic's been warning about. Thanos, the mad titan who threatens genocide." "I threaten nothing," Thanos corrected. "I promise balance." "Your Mandalore demonstrates precisely why such measures may be necessary." "Our conflict is none of your concern, outsider." Pre Vizsla gestured with the darksaber, and his Death Watch soldiers adjusted their aim toward Thanos. "Leave now, or we'll add your corpse to today's count." Thanos studied the darksaber with interest, a weapon forged through ancient methods powered by kyber crystal, but shaped by Mandalorian philosophy. It was impressive craftsmanship, evidence of a culture that had once united warrior prowess with technological innovation. But like everything in this galaxy, it had been corrupted by conflict and ideology. "Your weapon is unique," Thanos observed. "A lightsaber crafted by Mandalorian hands rather than Jedi philosophy. It represents your people's rejection of outside influence, your insistence on forging your own path. Yet you use it to wage civil war against those who share your heritage. Tell me, Pre Vizsla, how does fracturing Mandalore serve your warrior culture?" "We fight to reclaim what was stolen," Pre Vizsla snarled. "The new Mandalorians betrayed our traditions. They preach peace while our enemies grow strong. Better to die as warriors than live as cowards. Your death will serve no purpose." Thanos raised the Infinity Gauntlet. "Neither will your victory. Even if Death Watch succeeds in overthrowing Duchess Satine, what then? You'll establish a military dictatorship that alienates the Republic, attracts separatist attention, and eventually drags Mandalore deeper into the Clone Wars. Your warrior culture will be exploited by external powers until nothing remains but ruins and glory-seeking corpses." Duchess Satine emerged from cover, her diplomatic training overriding the very reasonable instinct to remain protected. "He's right, Pre Vizsla. This conflict serves only those who want to see Mandalore destroyed. We should be united against external threats, not tearing ourselves apart over philosophical differences." "Philosophy?" Pre Vizsla's laugh was harsh. "You call warrior tradition philosophy? Our ancestors conquered sectors. We were feared and respected. Now we're reduced to merchant princes and politicians. That's not philosophy. That's cultural suicide." "Your ancestors also triggered wars that devastated Mandalore," Satine countered. "The ruins outside Sundari are monuments to what your warrior culture achieved. Death, destruction, and near extinction. I won't let history repeat itself." Thanos watched them argue and saw the fundamental impasse. Both were right. Both were wrong. Mandalore's warrior culture had indeed produced greatness alongside catastrophe. Satine's pacifism had brought peace at the cost of cultural identity. Neither path was sustainable. Traditional Mandalorian aggression would invite destruction, while absolute pacifism left them vulnerable to external conquest. They needed a third option, but neither faction could see beyond their ideological entrenchment. "Commander," one of the clone troopers called out, his voice tense. "We've got incoming ships, separatist signatures." The sky above Sundari suddenly filled with separatist craft, vulture droids, hyena bombers, and transport ships bearing battle droid legions. Someone had tipped off the separatists about Mandalore's internal conflict and decided to exploit the chaos. It was tactically sound, strategically predictable, and morally bankrupt. Everything Thanos had come to expect from this war. Defensive positions, Satine's captain shouted. Protect the Duchess. Death Watch, rally to me, Pre Vizsla commanded. We defend Mandalore from all invaders. For a moment, the two Mandalorian factions stood united against external threat, ancient warrior instincts overriding political division. But Thanos knew it wouldn't last. The Separatist assault would be repelled or it would succeed. And then the Mandalorians would return to killing each other. The cycle would continue until one side destroyed the other, or until external powers absorbed them completely. Unless someone broke the cycle. Thanos raised both hands, and all 6 Infinity Stones ignited simultaneously. The Power Stone blazed violet, and beams of pure energy lanced upward, striking Separatist ships with pinpoint precision. Vulture droids exploded in cascading fireballs. Hyena bombers disintegrated before they could release their payloads. Transport ships were sheared in half, their droid cargo spilling into Mandalore's atmosphere to burn up like meteors. The Reality Stone flared crimson, and the remaining Separatist ships simply ceased to be ships. They transformed into clouds of harmless gas that dispersed across Mandalore's upper atmosphere. Matter reconstituted into forms that posed no threat to anyone below. The Space Stone pulsed blue, and the few surviving craft found themselves teleported across the galaxy, deposited in deep space sectors where they would drift for months before rescue, assuming anyone cared to search for them. The entire Separatist assault was neutralized in under 30 seconds. Mandalore's plaza fell silent. Death Watch soldiers stood frozen, their weapons lowered in shock. Clone troopers stared upward at a sky suddenly empty of threats. Even Pre Vizsla had deactivated his darksaber, his warrior's instincts recognizing power that transcended any combat training. That, Thanos said quietly, is what true power accomplishes. Not political maneuvering, not ideological purity, not warrior traditions or pacifist philosophy, simply the direct application of overwhelming force to eliminate threats and impose order. Duchess Satine found her voice first. You saved Mandalore. I demonstrated capability, Thanos corrected. Your Separatist problem is postponed, not solved. More ships will come, more battles will erupt. Unless Mandalore resolves its internal conflicts and presents a united front, you will continue bleeding until nothing remains worth conquering. Pre Vizsla approached slowly, his posture wary but curious. You possess power beyond anything I've witnessed, weapons that could conquer galaxies. Yet you lecture us about conflict rather than simply seizing control. Why? Because control through force alone is temporary, Thanos replied. I learned that lesson at great cost. You can conquer a civilization, but you cannot sustain conquest without their willing compliance. True balance requires populations to accept their circumstances, not merely submit to them. Then what do you propose? Satine asked. You've criticized both our positions. What third path exists between warrior culture and pacifism? Thanos considered the question carefully. This was the heart of the matter, the challenge that had driven his observation across 6 months of Clone Wars. Every conflict he'd witnessed stemmed from the same root causes: ideological extremism, resource competition, and populations unwilling to make necessary compromises for collective survival. Mandalore must become pragmatic, he said finally. Your warrior traditions are part of your heritage. Denying them breeds resentment and cultural dissolution. But unrestricted militarism invites perpetual conflict and external intervention. You need a middle path. Maintain combat readiness without seeking combat. Train warriors without glorifying warfare. Honor your traditions without being enslaved by them. That's impossible, Pre Vizsla scoffed. You can't be half a warrior. Either you embrace the way of the Mandalore, or you reject it. Why? Thanos challenged. Your ancient texts speak of Mandalorians as both warriors and artisans, fighters and builders. Your culture produced the finest armor in the galaxy, alongside sophisticated governance systems. The idea that you must choose between combat and civilization is a false dichotomy created by extremists on both sides. Satine and Pre Vizsla exchanged glances, not agreeing, but perhaps recognizing truth in Thanos' words. Mandalore's golden age had indeed balanced military prowess with cultural achievement. The current divide represented deviation from that historical equilibrium, not preservation of tradition. Even if we accepted this pragmatic approach, Satine said carefully, the Republic and Separatists would still pressure us to choose sides. Neutrality is becoming impossible in this war. Then enforce your neutrality, Thanos suggested. You possess warriors and weapons. Use them to defend your borders absolutely. Declare that any faction, Republic, Separatist, or otherwise, that violates Mandalore's sovereignty will face total war. Most powers will respect strength they cannot easily overcome. And if they don't respect it? Pre Vizsla asked. Thanos' expression hardened. Then you demonstrate why attacking Mandalore is a fatal mistake. One overwhelming response establishes reputation. Continued aggression becomes unlikely when potential aggressors understand the cost. A clone commander approached cautiously, his helmet removed to reveal a scarred face that had seen too many battles. Sir, are you advising Mandalore to militarize? That contradicts the Duchess's peace initiatives and could destabilize this sector. I advise Mandalore to survive, Thanos replied. Your Republic's peace initiatives have failed to prevent the largest galactic war in generations. Your promises of protection are worth precisely nothing when Separatist fleets appear in their skies. Mandalore must be capable of self-defense, or it will be conquered by someone who cares nothing for its cultural survival. The truth of that statement resonated across the plaza. The Republic was stretched thin, fighting on 1,000 fronts with diminishing resources. Promises of protection meant little when reinforcements took weeks to arrive, and political considerations often overrode military necessity. Mandalore was vulnerable precisely because it had believed in external security guarantees, rather than maintaining indigenous defensive capabilities. I need to consult with my government, Satine said finally, and with the Jedi Council. Your suggestions have merit, but implementing them requires political approval from systems that don't face Mandalore's immediate dangers. Thanos interrupted. This is why your Republic fails. Every decision requires consensus from parties with conflicting interests. By the time you achieve agreement, the crisis has escalated beyond management. He turned to address the assembled Mandalorians, both new Mandalorian supporters and Death Watch members. You have a choice. Continue your civil war until external powers absorb what remains of your culture, or find common ground sufficient to defend your sovereignty while you resolve internal disputes. I care nothing for which path you choose, but understand that divided populations rarely survive periods of galactic upheaval. Pre Vizsla deactivated his darksaber completely, his posture shifting subtly. You speak like a warrior, Thanos. You understand that strength is the only currency that matters, when civilization collapses, perhaps... He glanced at Satine. Perhaps there is wisdom in temporary alliance. Death Watch and the new Mandalorians united to defend our world, while debating our future internally. You would agree to ceasefire? Satine asked, hope and suspicion mixing in her voice. I would agree to prioritize external threats over internal grievances, Previsla clarified. For now, until Mandalore is secure, then we can resume our discussion about what Mandalore should become. It wasn't reconciliation, it wasn't even friendship, but it was pragmatism born from recognition that divided factions invited conquest. Thanos watched them negotiate tentative terms, zones of control, shared defensive responsibilities, agreed upon rules of engagement, and recognized the pattern. Crisis drove cooperation that peacetime politics had been unable to achieve. The Soul Stone pulsed, revealing deeper truths about the Mandalorians surrounding him. Most wanted peace but couldn't surrender their cultural identity. Most valued warrior traditions but feared where unrestricted militarism would lead. They were caught between past and future, unable to reconcile conflicting values without external pressure forcing compromise. They were, in short, typical of populations across this galaxy, divided by ideology, united only by survival necessity, unable to make difficult choices until circumstances removed all alternatives. 2 months remain, Thanos announced, his voice carrying across the plaza. 2 months until my year of observation concludes. I have witnessed your clone wars, studied your factions, observed how you respond to crisis. When that time expires, I will render judgment on whether this galaxy can sustain itself, or whether it requires my intervention to achieve balance. He raised the gauntlet, and the space stone began to glow. Use that time wisely. Thanos vanished, leaving behind a plaza full of Mandalorians contemplating uncomfortable truths. Duchess Satine and Previsla stood facing each other, not as allies, not yet as enemies, but as pragmatists recognizing that their world's survival might require swallowing pride and finding middle ground. Above them, Mandalore's sky was clear of threats, but everyone present understood that reprieve was temporary. The countdown continued. 2 months to prove that hope was more than wishful thinking. 2 months to demonstrate that the galaxy could change before being changed by force. And across the Clone Wars theater, word of Thanos' growing intervention was spreading. The Jedi Council convened emergency sessions. Darth Sidious adjusted his timelines. Separatist leaders debated whether the Mad Titan represented threat or opportunity. Clone troopers whispered about the being who could end battles with a gesture. Everyone was preparing for the moment when Thanos' patience expired and judgment came for a galaxy that couldn't save itself. The final month arrived with Coruscant under siege. General Grievous had launched a daring assault on the Republic's capital, his fleet breaking through defensive lines in a surgical strike that caught the Republic military off guard. It was a desperate gambit by the Separatists, an attempt to capture Chancellor Palpatine and force a negotiated end to the war. The battle raged across Coruscant's orbital stations and upper atmosphere, Star destroyers trading fire with Separatist frigates, while starfighters weaved deadly patterns through the crossfire. On the surface, the Jedi Temple had become a command center coordinating the defense. Masters Yoda, Mace Windu, and Obi-Wan Kenobi stood in the war room monitoring tactical displays that showed a deteriorating situation. The Separatists had already captured the Chancellor and were fighting their way back to Grievous's flagship, the Invisible Hand. Anakin is pursuing, Obi-Wan reported, his voice tight with concern. He's boarding the Invisible Hand now with a small strike team. If he can reach Palpatine before they jump to hyperspace. Then what? Thanos' voice cut through the tension as he materialized in the center of the war room. The space stone's glow fading from the gauntlet. Skywalker rescues your Chancellor, the Separatists retreat. The war continues. You've played this scenario 1,000 times across 3 years. The outcome never changes, only the casualties. Every Jedi in the room reached for their lightsabers before recognition and resignation settled in. They'd known this confrontation was coming. 1 month remained in Thanos' deadline. And the Clone Wars showed no signs of resolution. You choose now to appear. Mace Windu's voice carried controlled anger when our capital is under attack and our leader captured. I appear now because this battle encapsulates everything broken about your conflict. Thanos gestured toward the tactical displays. Your Chancellor, the architect of this entire war, has been captured by forces he secretly controls. Anakin Skywalker rushes to his rescue, further binding himself to a Sith Lord who manipulates him through orchestrated crisis. And you, the Jedi Council, coordinate responses to threats you sense but cannot act against because your devotion to Republic law prevents you from confronting the darkness within your own government. The room fell silent, even through the chaos of battle. Thanos' accusation landed like a weapon. Yoda's ears lowered, his ancient eyes meeting Thanos' gaze with profound sadness. Known for some time, we have, that darkness clouds the Republic. Felt Darth Sidious's influence, we have. But proof, we lack. Act on suspicion alone, the Jedi cannot. Principles we must maintain even when darkness tests them. Your principles will destroy you, Thanos said flatly. You know your Chancellor is a Sith Lord. You sense his manipulation of Anakin Skywalker. You recognize that this entire war is orchestrated to consolidate his power and eliminate the Jedi Order. Yet you do nothing because you fear violating the very laws he corrupted. This is not principle. This is cowardice disguised as integrity. Mace Windu's hand moved to his lightsaber hilt. You dare lecture us about integrity. You who threaten to murder trillions. Who view genocide as a solution to complex problems. I view mathematics as unavoidable reality, Thanos countered. Your galaxy contains finite resources supporting populations that grow exponentially. Your war accelerates resource depletion while killing those who might have managed that crisis. Every day this conflict continues, your collapse becomes more inevitable. Yet you cling to procedures and principles while your civilization burns. Obi-Wan stepped forward, his diplomatic training evident despite the stress. What would you have us do? Assassinate the Chancellor without trial? Stage a military coup? Become the very tyranny we're sworn to prevent? I would have you make the hard choice, Thanos replied. Your Sith Lord has orchestrated this war to transform your Republic into an empire. He will succeed unless you stop him. That requires action that violates your precious Jedi code. Killing without immediate threat, acting on suspicion rather than evidence, choosing pragmatism over principle. You must become what you hate, or watch everything you value be destroyed by someone willing to do what you will not. The accusation struck deep because every Jedi present knew it was true. They had sensed Palpatine's darkness. They had witnessed his accumulation of power. They had watched him manipulate Anakin through orchestrated emergencies and emotional pressure. But the Jedi Code demanded they trust in the will of the Force, believe in justice through proper channels, and refuse to compromise their principles even when those principles were being weaponized against them. "The Force will guide us," Yoda said quietly. "Trust in the Chosen One we must. Bring balance. He will, though the path remains clouded." "Your Chosen One is falling toward darkness even now," Thanos said. "I have observed Anakin Skywalker for months. Every battle pulls him further from your light. He kills prisoners when tactically convenient. He embraces anger when it provides power. He resents your restrictions and grows closer to Palpatine with every interaction. Your prophecy will be fulfilled, yes, but not as you imagine. Skywalker will bring balance by destroying the Jedi Order, eliminating the ancient divide between light and dark through annihilation of one side." "You don't know that," Obi-Wan protested, but his voice lacked conviction. He had seen the same signs Thanos described: Anakin's growing aggression, his questioning of Jedi teachings, his increasingly close relationship with the Chancellor. "The Time Stone shows probable futures." Thanos raised the gauntlet, and the green stone began to pulse. "Shall I show you what approaches?" Before anyone could respond, Thanos activated the stone's power. The war room dissolved into cascading visions of possible futures. They saw Anakin kneeling before Palpatine, accepting the title Darth Vader. They saw him leading clone troopers into the Jedi Temple, his lightsaber cutting down younglings who had trusted him. They saw Obi-Wan and Anakin dueling on Mustafar, their brotherhood shattered by betrayal and ideology. They saw Padme dying in childbirth, while Vader was sealed into black armor. They saw the Jedi Order exterminated across 1,000 worlds through Order 66. Clone troopers that Jedi had commanded for years suddenly executing their generals without hesitation or remorse. They saw the Empire rise from the Republic's ashes, Death Stars constructed to enforce peace through fear, entire planets destroyed to demonstrate the cost of rebellion. They saw decades of tyranny, suffering measured in trillions, all stemming from this moment, from the Jedi Council's unwillingness to confront darkness when it could still be stopped. The visions faded, leaving the Jedi Council shaken to their cores. "That is one possible future," Thanos said quietly. "Not certain, but probable unless significant change occurs. Your Chosen One becomes the very darkness he was meant to destroy. Your order is annihilated. Your Republic transforms into an empire that makes the Separatists look merciful by comparison. All because you maintained your principles while your enemy exploited them." Mace Windu's expression had gone rigid, his internal struggle visible in every line of his face. "If what you've shown is true, if Palpatine is indeed Sidious, then we must act. We confront him, demand he surrender his emergency powers, and if he refuses, then you kill him," Thanos finished. "Yes, that is the logical response. But will you? Can you violate everything your order stands for to save it? Or will you hesitate, seek council consensus, follow proper procedures while your enemy moves decisively?" The question hung in the air like a blade. Yoda closed his eyes, reaching deep into the Force. When he opened them again, there was terrible clarity in his ancient gaze. "Right, you are Thanos of Titan. Acted sooner, we should have. Trusted too much in the Force's will, we did. Forgotten that the Force flows through our actions, that destiny is shaped by choices. We have." He struck his Geimer stick against the floor with finality. "When Anakin returns with the Chancellor, confront Palpatine, we will. Demand he surrender emergency powers, and submit to investigation if he refuses, if his true nature reveals itself. Yoda's expression hardened in ways few had ever seen. Then end his threat we must, whatever the cost to our principles. Thanos studied the ancient Jedi Master with something approaching respect. You understand, finally, that preservation sometimes requires compromise, that survival may demand actions you find distasteful. Understand, I do, Yoda acknowledged. Accept, I do not. But choose the lesser darkness, we must, to prevent the greater. This is the burden of those who would protect life. Sometimes to save many, sacrifice principles we must. Before Thanos could respond, the war room's communication system crackled to life. Anakin's voice came through, strained but triumphant. Council, this is Skywalker. We've rescued the Chancellor and neutralized Count Dooku. Grievous escaped, but Palpatine is safe. Returning to the surface now. Obi-Wan activated his comlink. Excellent work, Anakin. Bring the Chancellor directly to the Jedi Temple. The Council needs to speak with him immediately regarding his emergency powers. There was a pause, subtle but noticeable. The Chancellor wants to return to the Senate first. He says there are critical matters. This is not a request, Mace Windu interrupted, his voice carrying absolute authority. The Chancellor will report to the Jedi Temple immediately. We have matters of galactic security to discuss that cannot wait. Another pause, longer this time. Everyone in the war room could feel the moment's significance, a line being crossed, the Jedi asserting authority over the Republic's civilian government in ways their code normally prohibited. Understood, Master Windu, Anakin replied finally, though his tone suggested confusion and growing concern. We'll head to the temple, Skywalker out. Thanos watched the Jedi prepare for confrontation that would define their order's fate. They moved with grim determination, centuries of tradition warring with pragmatic necessity. Mace Windu assembled a team of the Council's finest duelists. Obi-Wan coordinated with clone commanders to secure the temple perimeter. Yoda meditated briefly, centering himself for the darkness he was about to confront. You're willing to act at last, Thanos observed. But will you follow through? When Palpatine reveals himself, when he attacks with Sith lightning and Force powers that dwarf your own, will you strike to kill? Or will you hesitate, offer mercy, give him the chance to manipulate Anakin into interfering? We will do what must be done, Mace Windu said grimly. The Jedi Order has compromised too much already in this war. We've become generals, commanded armies, made tactical decisions that cost lives. One more compromise, one final darkness, will be endured if it prevents the future you've shown. Then I will observe your confrontation, Thanos said. This moment will determine whether your galaxy merits its continued existence, or whether my intervention becomes necessary. The Jedi exchanged glances but didn't object. Thanos had proven he could appear and disappear at will, forbidding his presence would be meaningless. 30 minutes later, Anakin Skywalker arrived at the Jedi Temple with Chancellor Palpatine. The Republic's leader looked shaken from his ordeal but composed, his elderly features arranged in expressions of gratitude and concern. Clone troopers formed an honor guard, and senators had already begun arriving to welcome their Chancellor home. But the Jedi Council was waiting, and their stance was not celebratory. Chancellor Palpatine, Mace Windu said formally, his hand resting near his lightsaber. On behalf of the Jedi Council, I must request that you immediately surrender the emergency powers granted during this crisis. The war is nearing its end. It's time to return the Republic to democratic governance. Palpatine's expression shifted subtly, surprise giving way to calculation. Master Windu, I appreciate your concern, but surely this can wait until... It cannot wait, Yoda interrupted, his voice carrying uncharacteristic steel. Too long, emergency powers have endured. Too much authority concentrated they have become. End this we must, before balance is lost permanently. Anakin stepped forward, confusion evident in his body language. Masters, the Chancellor just survived a kidnapping attempt. Can't this discussion happen after he's had time to recover? It seems disrespectful. Disrespectful, perhaps, Obi-Wan said gently, but necessary, Anakin. The Republic's future hangs in the balance. Palpatine's eyes narrowed slightly, and Thanos, watching from the temple's upper galleries, saw the mask begin to slip. The Soul Stone revealed the Sith Lord beneath the Chancellor's facade. Darth Sidious, architect of the Clone Wars, master manipulator who had spent decades orchestrating this exact moment. I see, Palpatine said softly. The Jedi Council believes they can dictate terms to the elected leader of the Republic. How very authoritarian of you. We serve the Republic, Mace insisted, and the Republic requires its leader to honor democratic principles. Will you surrender the emergency powers, Chancellor, or must we assume you intend to maintain them indefinitely? The confrontation balanced on a knife's edge. Palpatine could surrender gracefully, maintain his cover, and try another approach to power, or he could reveal his true nature. Trusting that Anakin's loyalty and his own Sith abilities would let him eliminate the Jedi Council before they could act. Thanos watched the Sith Lord make his choice. You're right, Master Windu, Palpatine said, his voice dropping to darker registers. I do intend to maintain my power, because I am the Senate, I am the Republic, and the Jedi. The Jedi are traitors who have forgotten their place. Lightning erupted from Palpatine's fingers, Sith power unleashed with devastating fury. But the Jedi had been ready. Mace Windu's lightsaber was already ignited, deflecting the lightning back toward its source. Yoda moved with speed that belied his age, his green blade intercepting follow-up attacks. Obi-Wan and other council members formed a defensive perimeter, their weapons creating a wall of plasma between the Sith Lord and escape. Anakin stood frozen, his mind struggling to process the impossible. The kindly Chancellor who had mentored him for years was attacking the Jedi Council with powers drawn from the dark side. Everything he'd believed about Palpatine shattered in that instant, leaving only confusion and betrayal. Anakin! Palpatine cried out, his voice laced with fear and manipulation. Help me! The Jedi are attempting a coup. They're trying to take over the Republic. Lies, Mace Windu shouted, pressing his attack. He's the Sith Lord we've been searching for, Darth Sidious, orchestrator of this entire war. Anakin's hand moved to his lightsaber, but he didn't draw it. He stood paralyzed by impossible choice. Trust the Jedi Order that had trained him, or save the Chancellor who had believed in him when others doubted. From his vantage point, Thanos watched the moment that would define the galaxy's future. Anakin Skywalker was the fulcrum. His choice would determine whether the Jedi's desperate gambit succeeded or whether Palpatine's decades of manipulation bore fruit. The Chosen One stood frozen between light and darkness, unable to move, unable to choose. And in that hesitation, the galaxy's fate hung suspended like a held breath. The moment stretched into eternity, Anakin frozen between masters, lightning crackling against lightsabers, the fate of trillions balanced on a single choice. Then Thanos moved. The space stone flared blue, and he materialized between Anakin and the combatants. The sudden appearance of the Mad Titan, 8 feet of armored inevitability, shattered the tableau. Palpatine's lightning dissipated as he reassessed threats. The Jedi held their positions but didn't attack, recognizing that Thanos' intervention had prevented Anakin from making a catastrophic choice. "Enough," Thanos said, his voice resonating with finality. "This charade ends now." "You!" Palpatine's elderly facade cracked further, revealing the predatory intelligence beneath. "The outsider who threatens He caught himself. "Who threatens the Republic's stability. Guards, arrest this being immediately." Clone troopers moved to obey, but Thanos raised the gauntlet. The Mind Stone pulsed yellow, and every clone in the temple suddenly understood, truly understood, the control chip implanted in their brains. They felt the organic circuitry designed to override their free will, sensed the activation protocols that would transform them from loyal soldiers into mindless executioners. Order 66 existed in their neurology, waiting for Palpatine's command. The clones stopped moving, their weapons lowering as horror and rage warred across their identical faces. "What did you do?" Commander Cody demanded, his hand pressed against his helmet as if he could feel the chip through armor and bone. "I gave you awareness," Thanos replied. "The Mind Stone reveals truth. You are slaves with the illusion of choice." Every clone in this galaxy carries inhibitor chips designed to force obedience to Order 66. One command from your Chancellor, and you would murder the Jedi you've fought beside for 3 years. Anakin's eyes widened. "Order 66, what is—" "An extinction protocol," Yoda said grimly, pieces falling into place. "Explain much this does. Why darkness we sensed but could not locate. Why our precognition about the war remained clouded. Hidden in plain sight, the threat was within our own army." Palpatine's expression shifted from manipulative politician to pure Sith malevolence. The mask was gone, burned away by circumstances spiraling beyond his control. "Clever, Titan. You've exposed one tool in my arsenal, but I have orchestrated this war across decades. I have contingencies within contingencies. The Jedi's destruction is inevitable, with or without the clone army. Your contingencies are irrelevant." Thanos took a step forward and Palpatine actually retreated. The first time in decades, the Sith Lord had shown genuine fear. "I have observed your clone wars for 1 year. I have studied your factions, witnessed your failures, measured your capacity for sustainable peace. The time for judgment has arrived." "You presume to judge us?" Palpatine laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. "You're an outsider who understands nothing of this galaxy's complexity, the Jedi's dogmatic adherence to failing democracy, the Republic's terminal corruption, the chaos that would result from abrupt change. I offer order through strength, stability through control. That is what this galaxy needs, not the Jedi's passive weakness or your mad culling." "You offer tyranny," Mace Windu countered, his lightsaber still pointed at Palpatine. "Decades of oppression built on the corpses of those who oppose you. That is not order, that's dictatorship." "And what do you offer?" Palpatine challenged. "A return to the stagnant republic that birthed this war. Democratic paralysis while worlds burn. The Jedi have failed, Master Windu. Your order is extinct whether you realize it or not. I am merely accelerating the inevitable. Perhaps you're both extinct, Thanos said quietly. Perhaps Jedi and Sith are equally obsolete, ancient factions playing power games while your galaxy collapses. You fight over who will rule the ruins, never questioning whether your war creates those ruins in the first place. He turned to address everyone in the temple, Jedi Masters, clone troopers, senators who had gathered to witness the confrontation, and Anakin Skywalker still frozen in the center of it all. I came to this galaxy offering a solution you found abhorrent, culling half the population to achieve sustainable balance. You resisted, claiming hope and principles would provide alternatives. I gave you 1 year to prove me wrong. That year has expired. The reality stone began to glow crimson on the gauntlet. I have reached my judgment. Your galaxy is broken, perhaps beyond repair, but it is not broken beyond transformation. Thanos raised his left hand, and all 6 Infinity Stones blazed simultaneously. The temple shook as power beyond the Force itself manifested in concentrated form. Jedi reached for their connection to the living energy that bound the galaxy, but found it strangely muted, not gone, but overwhelmed by something operating on different fundamental principles. I will not cull your population, Thanos announced, not because you convinced me through moral arguments or demonstrated sustainable peace. Neither occurred. I will not cull you because I have identified the actual problem, and it is not overpopulation. It is your systems of power. The Mind Stone pulsed yellow, and suddenly everyone in the temple understood what Thanos had seen during his year of observation. They felt his perspective flow through their consciousness. They saw the war from above, not as Republic versus Separatist, but as orchestrated theater. Resources funneled to military production while civilian infrastructure crumbled. Clones bred as slaves dying for governments that viewed them as equipment. Jedi transformed from peacekeepers into generals, their philosophy corrupted by necessities of command. Senators more concerned with re-election than governance. Corporate interests profiting from both sides, while populations suffered. They saw Palpatine's manipulation, decades of careful planning to transform democracy into dictatorship through engineered crisis. They saw the Jedi's rigid adherence to failing principles, while darkness grew unchallenged. They saw the Separatists' legitimate grievances exploited to serve Sith ambitions. They saw a galaxy where power structures themselves generated the conflicts that threatened civilization's survival. The vision faded, leaving everyone shaken by the clarity of understanding. Your war is not about ideology or territory, Thanos said. It is about obsolete power structures collapsing under their own contradictions. The Republic is too large to govern democratically, but too democratic to govern efficiently. The Jedi claim to serve life while enabling military-industrial complexes. The Sith pursue personal power while claiming to offer stability. And your populations suffer because none of you question the fundamental assumptions underlying your conflicts. Then what do you propose? Obi-Wan asked, his voice barely a whisper. If our systems are broken, what alternative exists? Thanos lowered the gauntlet slightly, considering his answer carefully. I propose transformation, not destruction. The reality stone can reshape matter and energy. I will not use it to eliminate beings. Instead, I will use it to eliminate the technologies and systems that enable your unsustainable expansion. Horror dawned across multiple faces as they realized what he meant. The hyperspace lanes that connect your galaxy will be disrupted, Thanos continued. Not destroyed, but made far more difficult and dangerous. Your massive centralized governments will become impossible to maintain. Your galaxy-spanning corporations will fragment into local entities. Your ability to wage war across thousands of systems simultaneously will end. You're talking about destroying galactic civilization, a senator shouted. Trillions depend on interstellar trade, communication, travel. You'd trap populations on individual worlds. I will force your populations to become sustainable at local scales, Thanos corrected. Your galaxy grew too large too quickly, built on assumptions of infinite expansion and unlimited resources. I am imposing limits. Worlds will need to become self-sufficient. Trade will continue, but at reduced scales. Communication will persist, but with delays that prevent centralized control. You will be forced to adapt to the reality you've been ignoring, that resources are finite and growth cannot continue indefinitely. Yoda closed his eyes, feeling through the Force toward the futures this would create. Chaos. There will be. Worlds cut off from supplies, they will struggle. People will die during the transition. Suffering there will be. Yes, Thanos acknowledged. But suffering during managed decline is preferable to extinction through collapse. Your current trajectory leads to galactic-scale civilization failure within generations. My intervention will be disruptive but survivable. Populations will adapt. Creativity will flourish when centralized control becomes impossible. Local solutions will emerge to local problems, and your species will survive to build something more sustainable. This is insanity, Palpatine snarled, his Sith power building visibly around him. I have spent decades building the empire that will unify this galaxy. I will not allow some alien tyrant to undo my work. Your empire is already undone, Thanos replied calmly. Without reliable hyperspace, you cannot maintain centralized control. Without instant communication, you cannot coordinate military responses. Your Death Star will become a fortress protecting a single system rather than a weapon threatening the galaxy. Your grand vision of order through tyranny collapses when the mechanisms of tyranny become inoperable. Palpatine's face contorted with rage. Then I will kill you and rebuild. You are powerful, Titan, but I am Darth Sidious, master of the dark side of the Force. I have destroyed the Sith's rivals and corrupted the galaxy's brightest hope. He gestured toward Anakin. I will corrupt your stones as I corrupted him. Sith lightning erupted with unprecedented intensity, not the calculated assault from earlier, but full Darth Sidious unbound, channeling decades of dark side mastery into a killing strike meant to overwhelm any defense. The lightning struck Thanos and simply stopped, absorbed by the Power Stone and stored as raw energy. Palpatine poured more power into the attack, drawing on rage and hatred accumulated across decades. The temple's walls cracked from proximity to such concentrated dark side energy. Lesser beings would have been incinerated instantly. Thanos stood unmoved. Your force is impressive, he said conversationally, even as lightning crawled across his armor. But it is not omnipotent. The Power Stone has absorbed energy from collapsing stars. Your hatred, while formidable, does not register as significant threat. Palpatine's attack faltered, disbelief cracking his composure. For the first time in decades, he faced power he could neither overcome nor manipulate. Mace Windu seized the opportunity, his lightsaber striking with Vapad precision, the aggressive form that channeled opponents' darkness back against them. But before the blade could connect, Thanos raised his right hand. The Time Stone flared green, and Mace Windu froze mid-strike, suspended in temporal stasis. "I am not here to execute Palpatine," Thanos said, addressing the Jedi. "That would solve nothing. Kill this Sith Lord, and another will eventually rise to fill the vacuum. Your conflict with the dark side is eternal, because you created the artificial division in the first place. Light and dark, Jedi and Sith. You maintain the duality that perpetuates conflict." "Then what would you have us do with him?" Obi-Wan asked, gesturing toward Palpatine with barely controlled anger. "He's orchestrated genocide, corrupted our Republic, and attempted to enslave our order. Justice demands." "Justice is a concept you invoke when convenient," Thanos interrupted. "You were prepared to execute him moments ago without trial, violating the very principles you claim to uphold. Now you want me to sanction revenge disguised as righteousness. I am not your moral arbiter." He released Mace Windu from temporal stasis and turned to face Anakin Skywalker directly. The young Jedi had remained silent through the entire confrontation, his mind clearly struggling to process revelations that shattered his worldview. "You are the chosen one," Thanos said, "prophesied to bring balance to the Force. Perhaps this is how, not by destroying Jedi or Sith, but by recognizing that both represent extremes that must be transcended. Light without dark becomes sterile. Dark without light becomes self-destructive. True balance lies in acknowledging both as facets of a unified whole." "I don't understand," Anakin whispered. "Everything I believed, the Jedi, the Chancellor, the war, none of it was what I thought. What am I supposed to do now?" "Choose," Thanos replied simply. "Not between Jedi and Sith, Republic and Empire, light and dark. Choose whether to remain trapped in binary thinking or embrace the complexity reality demands. You have the power to reshape this galaxy's relationship with the Force itself. The question is whether you have the courage to do so." Anakin looked at Obi-Wan, at Yoda, at Palpatine still radiating malevolent fury. Then he looked at his own hands, one flesh, one mechanical, both capable of violence or compassion, depending on how he chose to use them. "I choose," Anakin's voice strengthened. "I choose to find a new path, not Jedi orthodoxy or Sith passion, but something that honors both without being consumed by either. If that's what balance means, then that's what I'll pursue." Yoda's expression shifted to something approaching pride mixed with sadness. "Lose you to darkness we feared. Lose you to rigid light we also feared. Perhaps lose you to neither we have. Walk a path unprecedented you will. Blessings of the Force you have, even if the Jedi's understanding of it must change." Palpatine snarled in frustration. "Fools, all of you. This Titan has poisoned your minds with false philosophy. The galaxy requires order, and I alone have the vision to—" The Soul Stone blazed orange, and Palpatine fell silent, not through external force, but through sudden, horrifying self-awareness. The stone forced him to confront every life he'd destroyed, every manipulation he'd orchestrated, every moment of suffering he'd caused in pursuit of power. Decades of Sith philosophy that rationalized atrocity as necessary collided with genuine understanding of the damage he'd inflicted. Palpatine collapsed to his knees, his face twisted in anguish as the Soul Stone made him feel, truly feel, the weight of his actions. "That," Thanos said quietly, "is the burden of souls. You pursued power without acknowledging its cost to others. Now you will carry that knowledge for whatever time remains to you." He turned back to address the assembled witnesses. "I will now enact my transformation. Hyperspace will become unstable. Centralized governments will fragment. Your galaxy will enter a period of disruption and adaptation. But you will survive, and perhaps you will learn to build something more sustainable than what you had." "How long?" Obi-Wan asked. "How long until the transformation stabilizes?" "Years," Thanos admitted. "Perhaps decades. Populations will struggle during the transition, but that struggle will teach lessons your easy expansion never did. That resources are finite, that sustainable civilization requires careful management, that cooperation at local scales often achieves what galactic empire cannot." He raised the gauntlet, all 6 stones beginning to glow in preparation for reality-altering power. "Wait!" Anakin stepped forward. "If you're reshaping the galaxy, what happens to the Force? Will your changes affect our connection to it?" "The Force is intrinsic to life itself," Thanos replied. "My changes affect technology and infrastructure, not the fundamental energy binding living things. Your connection will remain, though perhaps you will learn to use it without the crutch of galaxy-spanning organizations enforcing orthodoxy. Local Force traditions may emerge, reflecting diverse philosophies rather than Jedi or Sith monopolies." Anakin nodded slowly, accepting the answer. Thanos closed his fist and reality began to scream. The Reality Stone's power rippled outward from Coruscant at faster than light speeds, reshaping the fundamental properties of hyperspace itself. The neat, reliable lanes that had connected the galaxy for millennia became turbulent probability fields where navigation required intuition as much as calculation. Instant communication arrays across thousands of systems found their signals degraded by quantum interference that made real-time coordination impossible. Massive capital ships discovered their hyperdrives could no longer guarantee safe jumps across long distances. The transformation was not destruction. Civilizations would survive, trade would continue, communication would persist. But the easy certainty of galactic-scale civilization ended in moments, replaced by necessity for local self-sufficiency and regional cooperation. On Coruscant, the effects manifested immediately. Communication with Outer Rim worlds became sporadic. Military coordination broke down as command structures depending on instant updates found themselves operating on delays measured in hours or days. The carefully orchestrated machinery of galactic government, both Republic and Separatist, ground toward halt as the mechanisms of centralized control simply ceased functioning reliably. Thanos lowered his hand. The stones dimming. "It is done. Your galaxy has been transformed. What you make of this transformation is yours to determine." He turned to walk away, but Yoda's voice stopped him. "One question you must answer. Your year of observation. What convinced you not to cull us? What did you see that changed a mind you claimed was inevitable?" Thanos paused, considering his response carefully. "I saw beings who maintained hope. Despite overwhelming evidence, it was futile. Clone troopers who valued brotherhood despite being designed as disposable equipment. Jedi who questioned their principles when those principles failed reality's test. Civilians who rebuilt after bombardments and shared resources during scarcity. I saw adaptability, the capacity to change when change became necessary. That capacity suggested survival was possible without eliminating half the population." "So we earned mercy through resilience?" Mace Windu asked. "You earned transformation through demonstrated potential," Thanos corrected. Mercy implies I acted from compassion. I acted from revised calculation. Your galaxy's problem was not too many beings. It was systems that enabled unsustainable behavior. By changing those systems, I create conditions for sustainable civilization without requiring mass death. It is still balance, simply achieved through different methodology. The Space Stone began to glow blue as Thanos prepared to depart. The Clone Wars are effectively over, he announced. Neither Republic nor Separatist can maintain galaxy-spanning conflict without reliable hyperspace. Your fleets are stranded. Your command structures are fragmented. You will negotiate peace not from moral awakening but from practical necessity. Neither side can continue fighting. He looked at Palpatine, still kneeling in soul-shocked anguish. Your empire is stillborn, Sidious. The mechanisms you spent decades building are now inoperable. You may rule Coruscant and nearby systems, but galactic domination is beyond your reach. Perhaps you will find wisdom in limitation, though I suspect you will simply rage against constraints you cannot overcome. Finally, Thanos addressed Anakin directly. You are the chosen one. Your galaxy now faces unprecedented transition. How you guide beings through this change will determine whether my transformation enables sustainable future or merely delays inevitable collapse. Choose wisely, Skywalker. The Force may guide you, but it is your choices that create outcomes. The Space Stone flared and Thanos vanished, teleporting beyond the galaxy itself, returning to the space between universes where dimensional travelers walked. The Jedi Temple fell silent in his wake. Clone troopers struggled with knowledge of their inhibitor chips, debating whether to seek surgical removal or live with awareness of their potential compromise. Jedi Masters contemplated a future where their order would need to adapt to regional rather than galactic scale. Senators realized their carefully constructed power bases had just evaporated, and Anakin Skywalker stood at the center of it all, recognizing that his path forward would define how billions of beings navigated unprecedented change. Palpatine remained on his knees, broken by understanding of his own monstrosity, but alive to witness his grand designs reduced to ash. The Clone Wars were over, not through military victory or political compromise, but through forced evolution. The galaxy had been given a chance to rebuild on more sustainable foundations. Whether they would seize that chance or squander it remained to be seen. But one thing was certain. Thanos of Titan had left his mark on the Star Wars galaxy, and nothing would ever be the same. The galaxy transformed in the months that followed Thanos' intervention. Hyperspace travel, once the reliable backbone of galactic civilization, became an unpredictable art requiring equal parts calculation and intuition. Trade routes that had operated for millennia needed to be relearned, renegotiated, rebuilt from scratch. Worlds that had depended on imported food, medicine, and technology were forced to develop local alternatives or forge new regional partnerships. The age of galaxy-spanning empires ended not with war or revolution, but with simple inability to coordinate across such vast distances. On Coruscant, the Republic underwent radical decentralization. The Senate remained, but its authority contracted to core worlds and nearby systems that could maintain semi-reliable communication. Outer Rim territories formed regional councils, developing governance structures suited to their specific needs rather than imposed from a distant capital. The bureaucratic monster that had strangled democracy for generations fragmented into manageable pieces, and surprisingly, most populations found local government more responsive to their actual concerns. The Jedi Order faced its own reckoning. Without galaxy-wide coordination, the Temple could no longer dispatch knights to far-flung conflicts or maintain centralized authority over Force philosophy. Regional Jedi enclaves emerged, each developing approaches suited to their local contexts. Some maintained traditional light side orthodoxy. Others experimented with integrating emotional honesty into Force practice, acknowledging that denying attachment had made Jedi vulnerable to the very darkness they feared. And a few, inspired by Anakin's search for balance, began exploring syntheses of light and dark that would have been heresy under the old order. Master Yoda, surprisingly, supported this diversification. Too rigid we became, he admitted in council meetings. Believed one path to the Force existed. We did. Perhaps many paths there are, all valid if walked with wisdom. Learn from our fragments, the order will, or fade into history as obsolete. Anakin Skywalker emerged as a bridge between traditions. He remained a Jedi, but one who acknowledged his capacity for both light and dark. He married Padme publicly, the Order's prohibition on attachment having lost its absolute authority in the new fragmented structure. Together, they worked to heal the wounds between former Republic and Separatist worlds, advocating for regional autonomy and mutual cooperation rather than enforced unity. The clone army faced the most challenging transition. With their inhibitor chips exposed and the war effectively over, clones suddenly confronted questions of identity and purpose they'd never been designed to consider. Some chose to remain soldiers, offering their skills to regional defense forces. Others pursued civilian lives, discovering interests and talents their accelerated growth had never allowed them to explore. A few formed clone communities, creating spaces where beings who shared identical genetics but developed individual personalities could support each other through unprecedented freedom. Commander Cody became an advocate for clone rights, traveling between systems to ensure his brothers received citizenship and compensation rather than being discarded as obsolete military equipment. "We were made to fight," he told a regional council on Naboo, "but we were also made to be men. We've earned the right to choose what that means." The Separatist movement collapsed without Palpatine's coordination and Dooku's leadership. Count Dooku himself disappeared after the Temple confrontation, his fate unknown. Some claimed he sought redemption in isolation. Others insisted he'd returned to the dark side, ruling some forgotten Outer Rim world as a Sith warlord. The truth remained elusive, lost in the communication delays that now characterized the galaxy. General Grievous's cyborg body was discovered on a Separatist shipwreck, finally destroyed not by Jedi, but by the very instability in hyperspace that had doomed his escape. The droid armies, without centralized control, simply powered down across 1,000 worlds. Technological monuments to a conflict that had consumed 3 years and achieved nothing but devastation. Darth Sidious survived, though power had become ashes in his mouth. He ruled Coruscant and the core worlds, but the empire of his visions would never manifest. Regional governors ignored his edicts when distance and communication delays made enforcement impossible. His inquisitors found themselves stranded on distant worlds, unable to coordinate hunts for surviving Jedi. The Death Star construction he'd authorized in secret continued, but without galaxy-spanning resources, the project stretched toward decades rather than years. He had won control of the Republic only to discover it was an empty prize, a government whose mechanisms of power no longer functioned at scales necessary for tyranny. Padme visited him once in the Chancellor's office that had become a monument to futility. "You wanted order through control," she said, studying the man who had orchestrated so much suffering. "But real order comes from consent, from people choosing cooperation because it serves their interests. You could have built that. Instead, you chose fear and manipulation. Now you have neither empire nor purpose." Palpatine's response was bitter laughter. "The Republic was always destined to fall, Senator. I merely intended to be the one standing when it collapsed. Instead, an alien titan reshaped the galaxy to prevent anyone from standing too tall. There is cruel poetry in that." As months became years, the galaxy adapted. Agricultural worlds that had exported food learned to support themselves with less reliance on imports. Industrial planets developed regional manufacturing networks. Cultural exchange continued, but at slower paces that allowed more thoughtful integration rather than homogenizing globalization. The frantic pace of galactic civilization slowed, and surprising numbers of beings discovered they preferred the change. Wars continued. Conflict was too intrinsic to organic behavior to simply cease, but they remained regional affairs rather than galaxy-spanning catastrophes. Without the ability to project power across thousands of systems simultaneously, military adventures became expensive and difficult to sustain. Negotiation often proved more practical than conquest when victories couldn't be reinforced or consolidated. Thanos never returned, but his influence permeated everything. Philosophers debated whether his transformation had been salvation or violation. Economists studied how civilizations adapted to enforced sustainability. Force scholars examined how regional Jedi and Sith traditions evolved when freed from millennia of orthodoxy. The Mad Titan had kept his promise. He hadn't culled the population, but he had fundamentally altered the systems that shaped how those populations lived. On Mortis, the Ones observed these changes with complex emotions. "He did what we could not," the daughter admitted. "Forced evolution where we had only maintained stagnation. He violated the galaxy's natural development," the son countered, though his protest lacked conviction. "Perhaps," the father mused, "or perhaps he accelerated what was already coming. The Clone Wars revealed systemic failures our balance had hidden for too long. Thanos simply made those failures too obvious to ignore any longer. Whether that was wisdom or arrogance, time will reveal." Anakin Skywalker, now a father himself to twins named Luke and Leia, stood on Naboo's royal balcony watching sunset paint the sky in colors that reminded him of the Infinity Stone's glow. Padme stood beside him, their children sleeping peacefully inside. "Do you think he was right?" Padme asked quietly. "That we needed to be forced to change because we wouldn't choose it ourselves?" Anakin considered the question carefully, something he'd learned to do in the years since Thanos' departure. "I think he understood something the Jedi never taught me. That balance isn't about eliminating one side or the other. It's about accepting that light and dark, growth and limitation, freedom and responsibility all exist together. The galaxy had grown so large we'd forgotten limits exist. He reminded us, whether that makes him savior or tyrant." Anakin shrugged. Maybe he was both. Maybe that's what balance looks like. Padme took his hand, mechanical and organic fingers intertwining. Then we build from here. We teach our children to be wiser than we were. We create systems that serve beings rather than enslaving them. We honor both the potential Thanos saw in us and the warning his methods represented. Agreed, Anakin said softly. The Clone Wars are over. The empire that might have been will never exist. We have a chance to build something better. We'd better not waste it. Across the galaxy, on thousands of worlds, experiencing unprecedented autonomy and challenge, similar conversations occurred. Beings who had survived the Clone Wars and Thanos' transformation looked toward futures that were uncertain but finally theirs to shape, without distant powers dictating outcomes. The Mad Titan had rendered his judgment, enacted his transformation, and departed. Whether his intervention had saved the galaxy or merely postponed its collapse remained an open question, one that would be answered through the choices beings made in the decades to come. The Force flowed through it all, adapting to new realities as it had adapted to changes across eons. Light and dark, life and death, growth and decay, the eternal dance continued, but now with beings more conscious of their role in maintaining balance rather than disrupting it. And somewhere beyond the galaxy, traveling through spaces between universes, Thanos carried the memory of a civilization he had not culled but transformed. Perhaps transformation was always the better solution, more complex, more uncertain, but ultimately more respectful of the adaptability that made organic life precious. The Infinity Gauntlet gleamed on his hand, 6 stones pulsing with quiet power. Balance had been achieved, not through destruction, but through forced evolution. And the galaxy far, far away would never forget the year a Mad Titan arrived, observed, judged, and ultimately chose mercy over mathematics. The Clone Wars had ended. A new era had begun. What beings would make of that era remained to be seen.